Ladies and gentlemen, this is the board meeting for September 15, 2016. We'll begin with introductions. I'm Michael Jackson, President of the Board, Chair of the Education Licensing Committee, appointed by the Governor.
Randy Phillips, Direct Care Provider, RN, appointed by the Governor, and good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Elizabeth Woods, appointed by the Governor, Advanced Practice Role.
Good morning. Imelda Seiu Butkowitz, appointed by the Governor, public member.
I'm Raymond Malel, Vice President of the Board.
Joe Morris, Executive Officer of the Board. of the BRN.
Good morning, Cindy Klein, Direct Practice Member, appointed by the Governor.
Good morning, Barbara Yaroslavsky, appointed by the State Senate.
Good morning, Pilar de la Cruz Reyes, appointed by the Governor in the Nurse Administrator role.
Michael Santiago, DCA Legal.
Thank you very much. We'd like to also introduce, this is Dr. Morris's first board meeting. We'll just let the public know that this is Dr. Morris's first board meeting. We'd like to welcome him. Thank you. Moving on to item 2.0, public comments for items not on the agenda. Please come forward. In the interest of time, we will limit comments to 3 minutes, and Ms. Klein will be our timekeeper.
Thank you for allowing me to speak this morning. My name is Sherry Monsine, RN.
You got to speak directly into the mic.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now? Oh.
You have to get real close.
It's on.
And then you have to...
It's on. You have to move it close.
Again, good morning. I'm Sherry Monsine. I'm an RN. I've been a nurse. I've been a nurse for over...
Wait, it's not on, so don't even go closer, just wait.
Okay, sorry.
You can't complain, we were in Newport Beach, so that's fine.
You'll be our timekeeper, Cindy.
Yeah, the time stopped because it's not talking, right?
Not yet.
Because the microphones aren't working, I can't hear.
Hello? Hello?
Wait, you just did it.
Hello? It's on now?
Thank you, Les. Thank you.
I'll buy a knee.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Sherry Monsine. I'm a registered nurse in the state of California. No, it's not working.
Okay. Do you want to hold one of these?
How about one of these? Please give her later.
Those weren't very loud either back here.
Just hold
If you just speak loud, he's able to get it through the webcast.
Okay.
If you just speak loud for the room, we'll get it fixed.
project.
Just,
Not a problem. My name is Sherry Monsine. I am a registered nurse. Been a nurse in the state of California for over 37 years and a nurse for almost 40 years. I am the assistant director for nursing for talent acquisition at UCLA Health. I have come today to speak up for all of the nurses trying to work at UCLA Health, all of the new grads who are trying to work at UCLA Health, and all the nurses who are trying to get endorsement by the State Board of California. We hire over 200 nurses probably twice a year for new grads, and we always start in September and in March, April for our new grads. Unfortunately, we try every year to predict when you will give licenses to our new grads, and every year we're off, and we keep extending the deadline. My complaint is that the new grads are being held hostage by the Board of Nursing. They are eager to get their licenses. They're called, they're treated rudely, they're told not to call back. They've gone to their senators, they've gone to the governor, they've gone to their state assemblymen, they've reached out through attorneys, and to no avail, they are still waiting. We've lost about 4 or 5 new grads who cannot wait any longer for a job and have gone back to their home states to get a job because they are already licensed in their home states. You used to be able to get endorsements within 2 weeks. You'd walk into the board once your live scan has been done and walk away with a temporary license. You can no longer do that. Now it takes even as long to get a permanent license, which right now is between 3 to 6 months to get a license. The new grads and any nurse trying to come into the state of California are told that you shouldn't be offered a job until you have a license. Well, to me, that's absurd. We are interviewing nurses, and we're going to have a nursing shortage in the state of California, and healthcare is one of the largest consumers in the state of California, and if a nurse wants a license, they need to have a license, and we shouldn't be preventing them from being employed within our organization or any other organization in the state of California. The other issue that I have is another nurse did not get her license because her humanities course wasn't accepted by the Board of Nursing. Really? Her sociology course wasn't correct. She's gone through a 4-year program that has either been accredited by the NLN or AACNE, I forget which the other board is for accreditation for schools of nursing. If they've been accredited by those schools, I can't understand why the Board of California determines that their standards have a higher standard than these schools are for accreditation, for these nurses to allow to be able to get their license. So I am asking you, I have over 19 nurses on a list that are waiting to either wait for their ATT, and they've applied since April. I have a group of nurses who have got their ATT to test. They've tested, and it's now been over 6 weeks since they not even getting their license. I have other nurses who've called in and said, oh, another 4 weeks before you get your license listed. We only have one person who will look at licenses once they've taken the boards and allow them to have a number. This is ridiculous. They have dates to start next week and the week after, and there should be no reason at this point in their time that they shouldn't have a license after they've taken them. So those are my comments. Thank you for listening, and I have one of our new grads here.
Do you want me to speak in the microphone?
No, just speak.
Okay. Hi, my name is Catherine Nichols, and I am a new graduate nurse. I'm an RN licensed in South Carolina, which is a compact state, and I was given a job offer at UCLA as part of their new graduate residency program. I'm going to be hopefully working in the cardiothoracic ICU, which is a dream job for me, to be able to work and live in California. However, trying to move here and get my license endorsed / a temporary license has been a miserable process that has made just put a huge burden in my life and in the life of my family, a big financial burden, because it was just an unforeseen circumstance that I would sign a lease and get a new car and move across the country and uproot my life and then come here and not be able to have this process in time for me to start. I was supposed to start this past Monday and I wasn't able to. And so now I have 2 weeks if I want to be able to start within the time frame of the new grad residency. Other than that, it's just going to be postponed until I get my license. And I am under a huge financial burden now. And coming from a compact state, I think I would like to vouch for California joining that. And while I know there are financial incentives for you to not be a compact state, I think that it's important to think that you're dealing with human beings' lives. And I think it's important to put a face at the other end of the phone call, because while I know it's a stressful time for you, it's a really stressful time for me too. And I just feel in the same way that you mentioned, like I'm trapped right now and there's nothing else that I can do. And any point that I try and reach out to somebody at the board, or I have my U.S. Senator vouching for me on that end, and I've called the governor's office and everything, and I haven't been able to speak to one kind person who's understanding of the scary and difficult situation that I'm in. And so I would say that if I could have a piece, I would say I would think California should join the compact states, because I know that other students that I graduated with have been able to have a much smoother transition into compact states and be able to be a part of programs that are as incredible of an opportunity as working at UCLA, which is a dream, and it's awesome, and California is great. And I think that the benefits and being able to nix the temporary license, you would be able to have more financial incentives of being able to process licenses faster, and that would be great. And being able to work under that 90-day forgiveness with the compact state transition being in place, I know that that's really how it works out. So I am asking, why not? Why not? Why while the standards seem to me to be just about the same, that you can't join in and be a part of this national organization, this national accreditation that goes across state lines.
Thank you. It took a lot of courage to come here and speak up before the board.
Sure.
Thank you. Welcome to California.
Thank you.
Was that kind?
That was kind.
All right.
I appreciate it.
I just want to make sure.
Will she have her license tomorrow?
We need to see Christina.
Thank you.
So thank you very
Thank
much.
All right. Any other public comment?
Hi, I'm Dr. Jan Keller-Unger. I currently serve in the position of Regional Director for Nursing Workforce Development for Providence Health and Services, which I am very lucky to be able to have that position because I very recently came from Texas, moved from Texas, and it took 16 weeks in order to license me. I have been a nurse in Texas since 1973, and when I began this process, I had a start date for Providence Health and Services. They kindly moved it a couple of times, and without their kindness, I would be in the same position as the new grad, without a job and without the ability to help take care of my family. In addition to my own circumstance, we work with large numbers of new graduates as well, and there were a number of new graduates who we delayed and delayed and delayed their start dates into our residency program this time. Two people in particular coming from other states, immediately licensed in other states this summer and came to California. They were at 12 and 14 weeks apiece before they got their licenses, only because of our leaders and our HR department delaying and delaying and delaying the requirements and making a lot of special circumstance conditions were they able to stay here after they moved here. Again, I really appreciate the young woman speaking up because it is a huge change to come here. It is a huge financial burden to come to California for new people coming, and your attention to this matter would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Good morning, colleagues. I'm Robin Nelson. I'm the Dean of the College of Nursing at West Coast University. And I know that later in the agenda you're going to be hearing about a pilot project that was implemented by the Board of Nursing. And I'm here, we didn't know when we could share our good story, and we were in the same shoes as as our prior speakers, but I wanted to share with you that as a result of the pilot, and I brought Jessie Miller, has come this morning, and she's going to tell you just a little bit about how the pilot benefited her. But I can simply say that with the pilot, where we were able to upload our transcripts for our August graduates, they graduated August 20, we were able to upload their transcripts to a cloud, not a black cloud, but a technology cloud. And the result was Jessie's class, which their degree was posted August 20. We are September 15. She's already licensed as an RN. So it worked, and we're excited to hear the report from the executive director and from the technology. I'll let Jessie just tell you how this has impacted her, start off of her career.
Hello, I'm Jessie Miller. The whole process, we were told that it was going to be delayed 4 to 6 weeks, and as you can tell, I have a baby coming here actually this week. And so the whole ATT process, trying to get through that and all of it actually was a wonderful experience. I finished, as she mentioned, August 20th, and I took my test September 10th, and I found out I passed on Monday. That whole entire process was completely a breeze, to say the least, with everything.
No pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended. And I really do appreciate it because of the financial burden, me having to worry about coordinating after having a child and moving or looking for a job and all of that. And I do have jobs that are lined up, and I was able to interview for them and get everything set up in a row. And so I do really appreciate being able to go through this process so quickly, and that this pilot study worked out so well for my class.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
To all the board, and thank you for this opportunity. I am Paulette Annist. I'm a registered nurse. I've been a nurse for almost 20 years, about 19 and a half. My original license was in the state of Maryland. I was educated in Maryland and transferred to California many years ago. I recently worked in New York, and so I had that experience as well. So very much like Jen and others, we've had experience in other states. So I first want to start with a compliment to the board, because I think that there's been a lot of efforts to make improvements both on the endorsement process, the renewal process, and the process for new graduates. In my experience as a leader, I have managed new graduates, contingent labor, core staff, you name it. I love being a nurse leader, and being a nurse leader in California, it's a very proud experience. In my current role as Vice President of Clinical Operations for AMN Healthcare, I'm responsible for qualifying many clinicians for the state of California, and I represent many of the clients that we have here today. Why I'm here is to, first of all, say I recently went through the renewal process, and I want to say that it actually went really well. It went very well.
You did it online?
I did it online. Now, in all fairness, that experience is what we want for everyone. We want it to be turned around in 2 days, the way I had it turned around in 2 to 3 days. That's an incredible experience. So I'm here as your partner, as a nurse leader, to offer up my support and to say, how can we partner together to create that incredible customer experience for all new graduates, for all nurses who want to come to California to practice, and to ensure that we have a safe process, that we endorse people quickly, that we renew them quickly, and that we get our new graduates to work, because our patients need it. It's for the community, and it's certainly, I think all of us know it's a public safety issue.
Does your organization hire new grads?
We do. We do support new graduates, and we support our clients in the hiring of new graduates, absolutely. And we actually have transition to practice programs to help source all of these great needs in California. I think everybody knows the demand is so high for registered nurses in California. The market is incredible. The membership is up. More people are using, nursing care, in not just acute care settings, long-term care settings, clinics, et cetera. So what we're seeing is that there's an incredible demand for nurses, and not just at the new graduate level, but at the nurse leadership level. So what you heard in the previous testimony was, we're not only seeing it in new graduates or experienced nurses like myself, nurse leaders are having a difficult time coming to California and starting on time. And I think the financial impact of that is serious. Now, the other thing I would just offer up is, the more nurses that we have coming to California, we benefit from that financially. It's a tremendous positive economic impact, right? They're tax-paying individuals. So I think it's something that we could partner on and help each other on, and we look forward to that, experience with you. And, if there's anything that we could do around process improvement and looking at how we could strategically partner together, we offer that up.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Are you making a public comment?
Yeah.
Good morning, Geneviève Clavrol. I am a little bit concerned. I just experienced a near-death experience last month. And the quality of nursing care that I received is pretty scary. They were very nice, and I must say they went out of their very nice, but knowledge-wise, I am really scared to see at which level some of the RN are performing. So I appreciate the board looking at performance, and especially the quality and the knowledge of the nurses. And that happened in 2 different hospitals. So I think we maybe need to look at what's happening to our profession.
Thank you.
All right, any other items not on the agenda, public comment? At this time, moving right along, item 3.0, review and vote on whether to approve the minutes for...
Mr. President,
Yes.
if I could have the mic, please, really quick. From some of the items raised today, I know that we cannot make comment because they're not agendized. May I suggest we agendize the endorsement issues and licensure issues for next board meeting?
It's on the agenda for today.
It's already on the agenda for today? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, item 3.0, review and vote on whether to approve the minutes for June 15, 2016 board meeting, July 11, 2016 board meeting, August 10th, 2016 board meetings. Is there a motion?
So moved. Move.
I second it. We'll begin with a vote, call a roll, beginning to my left. Are there any public comments before we vote on the minutes?
Did you move the agenda up for the Nclex for earlier?
Excuse me?
No,
Did you move the agenda?
We're in the middle of making a vote.
Yes.
Did we,
This is for the minutes.
we did meet in July, did we?
Yes.
I thought July was dark.
No, we met.
You added a July?
It was a July date for a board meeting. If you weren't on it, you can abstain.
Oh, it was,
It was a conference call.
Okay, yes, thank you, thank you. Okay, yeah, I remember now.
Roll call vote.
Andy.
Okay, Trandy Phillips, yes?
Elizabeth Woods, yes.
Imelda Seja Batgowitz, yes.
Raymond, yes.
Michael Jackson, yes.
Cindy Klein abstain. I was not here for both, all 3 meetings. Thank you.
Barbara Yaroslavsky, I have to abstain from the June meeting. I was not present either.
Pilar de la Cruz Reyes, yes, on the June and August meetings. I was absent for the July meeting.
So do you want us to vote individually, or?
Done already.
It's done. We do,
So I
we're
did- okay, but I
required to
did-
do the roll call vote.
Right, but I didn't know if you wanted us to do it individually.
You did it in entirety, all 3 meetings.
Right, so I do abstain.
Item 4 point, yes.
I'm sorry, I wasn't here for the August 10th meeting.
So she will abstain from
Abstain.
the August 10th meeting. All right, moving on. Item 4.0, report on board member activities. Are there any board member activities to vote on? Or to speak of? Nope, no board member activities. Moving on. Item 5.0, board and department activities. 5.1, we will turn it over to our executive officer. He will give his first report.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to begin with the BRN Sunset Report. The board continues to work on the Sunset Report and respond to the 24 issues provided by the Senate Business Profession and Economic Committee and the Assembly Business Profession and Consumer Protection Committee, whom collectively work together to participate as the oversight committee in the Sunset Review process. Now, the committee has requested an update on 24 issues that were highlighted in the last Sunset Report. Now, the report is due December 1st, 2016, and it is planned to have a draft of the report provided at the October board meeting. Moving on to public record requests, the BRN continues to comply with the public record requests and respond within the required time frames that are set by Government Code Section 6250. So from June 6 to September 6, 2016, the BRN received and processed 36 public record requests. In regards to paperless renewal notifications, in order to become more efficient and streamline costs, staff is currently evaluating the feasibility of implementing paperless RN and advanced practice renewal notifications. More information regarding this process will be provided in a later board meeting. Moving on to customer satisfaction survey. The BRN recently added a consumer satisfaction survey to its website. Several days ago, email notifications were sent to licensees, applicants, nursing programs, and stakeholders throughout the state of California. It was recently reported that within several days, we received 6,000 responses. So if you have not already, we encourage you, nurses, to complete the survey. The deadline to complete the survey is October 15, 2016. The BRN is committed to protecting and serving the public. Therefore, we need your input on what we can do better and what we can improve on. Okay? And also good comments as well. Okay. Moving on to scholarships and loan repayment programs. The Health Profession Education Foundation scholarship information and loan repayment information is up to date and currently listed on the BRN website. The loan repayment program opens from August 1st through August 1st through October 14th, 2016. The scholarship programs open from January 3rd, 2017 through February 28, 2017. For more information regarding the financial aid opportunities, please visit the BRN website and click on the Financial Aid Information tab. We are encouraging all deans, directors, faculty, and staff to forward this information to your students. Moving on to the section about California workforce survey for registered nurses. The University of California, San Francisco, in collaboration with the BRN staff, is currently compiling data from the 2016 RN survey that was mailed out on April 25th, 2016. The survey collection period is now closed. It closed on September 2nd, 2016. This survey is distributed to nurses annually, and the data collected would be analyzed and reports generated regarding the nursing workforce trends, demographics, education, and employment patterns. The BRN is also collaborating with UCSF and hosting a webinar to provide information to the deans and directors, faculty, and staff for completing the 2015-16 annual nursing school survey. This webinar will be recorded and made available to the nursing programs after the webinar is completed. The webinar will be planned in some time in the near future, hopefully in October. The actual dates will be provided in weeks to come. Moving on to 5.2, budget update. My report. For the 5th straight year, repeat exam applications are down from 7,675 to 7,064. This is a decrease by almost 8% from the previous year. First-time applicants went up from 15,062 to 15,332, an increase by 1.79% from the previous year. Endorsements into the state of California went up from 13,081 to 13,081 to 15,653, an increase of almost 20%. Endorsements out of the state of California went from 14,763 to 12,404. So there's a decrease by almost 16% of those who are trying to endorse out of the state of California. Renewals went up by almost 5% from 2014 to 2015. Okay. Moving on to 5.3, technology update. As discussed at the April 2016 board meeting, The work authorization 014 was approved for implementation to the Breeze system and was released into production on June 16, 2016. This authorization was implemented to improve the online renewal application process. Thus far, the staff has been monitoring the effectiveness of the process and thus far are pleased with the Breeze updates. The BRN and DCA Breeze staff are meeting bi-weekly to discuss the improvements of the Breeze and requested changes from the staff. Again, we really like to thank DCA for their collaboration on this. Moving on to fingerprint requirements. In my report, the staff is currently processing and notifying licensees who are required to submit fingerprints upon renewal of their RN license. On September 2nd, 2016, the BRN staff mailed out over 2,000 letters to individuals who have paid for their license to be renewed. However, there is a hold on their license due to missing fingerprints. In order to improve the renewal notification process, we're currently working with DCA Breeze, business integrity analysts to flag the license's renewal records prior to the submission of the renewal fees. So nurses, we need you to get those fingerprints in, okay? The next section in my report has to do with teleconferencing and the use of technology. In order to increase communication efforts and streamline travel costs, the board has obtained a Webex video conferencing account through the support of DCA. The Webex account will be used by management and staff in Northern and Southern California as an alternative way to communicate more effectively and efficiently with staff members on a regular basis. In addition, we are in the process of converting the current BRN conference room into a smart technology room that has video conferencing capabilities. Electronic transcripts. The board is aware of the licensing backlogs and prolonged processing times. This issue has received major attention throughout the nursing community and has become a top priority of correction for the BRN. In an effort to improve the licensing business process and practices, we are currently piloting the use of the BRN DCA Digital Cloud and the acceptance of electronic transcripts from California schools. This pilot was implemented several weeks ago and thus far has proven to be a great success. This proposed business practice will be discussed during the DCA presentation as well as discussed within the licensing report today. Staffing update. The BRN staffing needs are currently being evaluated based on the ongoing business process changes. Once all the changes have been updated and implemented, we will reassess our staffing needs and submit staffing requests as appropriate. In addition, we are adjusting the staff's flexible work times and have implemented a Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. work schedule in effort to improve customer services related to high volume of workloads in most areas of the BRN. Okay. There are currently 6 permanent full-time vacancies within the board at this time. We're currently doing interviews to fill these vacancies. So within the past several months, we have hired 10 new staff. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Is there any public comment?
First of all, First of all, I want to thank you for that report and the comprehensive nature of it. I had a couple of questions and comments. One of them was on the efforts that you're making to reach out to licensees or potential licensees to ensure that their fingerprints are done. One of the things that we're hearing from...
This is current licensees,
No,
not potential.
Okay.
Current.
Current, right. So is there an opportunity to consider those nurses who have been licensed in other states, we heard it from compact states, et cetera, who have been fingerprinted before to use that fingerprint license activity. So I'm wondering if we've explored that. They've actually gone through that process before through other boards of nursing. And I think that that's a cost efficiency as well that we could probably pursue, and it would actually expedite the processing of those folks.
Christina's going to answer that.
Christina, you have a comment? You want to answer that?
Deputy Chief
So fingerprint information cannot be shared amongst states or other other entities within. Sorry. Christina Sprague, Chief Licensing and Administrative Services with the Board of Registered Nursing. So fingerprint information cannot be shared amongst states or other departments or boards within DCA. Each board is responsible for its own fingerprint information and can only have access to that information and cannot be shared with anyone else.
So there isn't a submission to a federal data bank where all of these fingerprint requirements are gathered? It just seems like if we're doing this state to state, right, we're adding cost and creating an inefficiency. Is there an opportunity to partner, on a national level to create some value there? I mean, it's the same process, it's just different states. So it's not as if the fingerprints change from one state to the next.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not available at this point in time.
Okay. Oh, that's unfortunate. Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Item 6.0, report on the Administrative Committee. 6.1, discussion of possible action to initiate the rulemaking process to increase fees, California Code of Regulations, Title 16, Section 1417.
Good morning, Stacy Brm, Assistant Executive Officer. What I just presented to you is a regulation proposal to increase our fees in the event that SB 1039 is signed by the governor. We're moving proactively to get approval from the board so that when the governor, if he signs the bill, we'll be able to initiate the rulemaking process. So the language that you see before you merely incorporates the fees that have been included in Senate Bill 1039. And I've provided copies at the back of the room that are available if the public is interested in receiving a copy of it. Any questions?
Any questions from the board? Any comments from the public? No comments from the public? Questions from the board? I think we went over this extensively in our meeting last year.
Over what the fees would be? Yes.
Yes.
In December of
So the board
2015.
members have this information already. Motion?
So I make a motion to approve the proposed regulations as changes as provided?
And I second it.
Is that how we're doing it, Michael Santiago?
That's to initiate the rulemaking.
To initiate the rulemaking process?
Initiate the rulemaking process, apologies. So moved.
Public comment? A call for the question beginning to my left.
Trandy Phillips, yes.
Elizabeth Woods, yes.
Imelda Seha Butkowitz, yes.
Ray Malel, yes.
Michael Jackson, yes.
Cindy Klein, yes.
Barbara Yaroslavsky, yes.
Wardell Cruz Reyes, yes.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 6.2, discussion on possible vote on options to discontinue printing and mailing of pocket cards as a cost-saving measure.
Hello again. Christina Sprague, Chief Licensing and Administrative Services, Board of Registered Nursing. So Dr. Morris has requested that we provide him with some options regarding the discontinuation of printing and mailing of RN and advanced practice pocket cards as a cost-saving measure. Currently, the board has a contract in place with the vendor SoftFile to print and mail RN and advanced practice pocket cards. Issuance of an initial RN license and certification renewal, and individual requests from licensees for duplicate pocket cards is what triggers a pocket card to be printed. The board currently has a monthly renewal population of approximately 18,000 licensees, and the DCA generates and electronically transmits a file to our vendor on a daily basis for printing and mailing of those cards. The current contract, the contract cost for the current fiscal year is $290,524. This is the last year on this particular contract for us. The pocket card licenses provide the assumption that the licensee's license status is current as indicated by the expiration date on the license. The status of a license can change at any time due to circumstances based on discipline, family support, if the licensee has not provided continuing education, if the license is inactive, if the licensee goes active and provides the continuing education. The license verification by the employer is required by Business and Professions Code Section 2732.05 and should be completed upon hire of an RN and throughout employment. License verification in Breeze is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and allows employers the ability to verify license status at a moment's notice. Additionally, the National Council of State Boards of Nursing has a system in place called eNotify. Employers can sign up with eNotify and enter in each of their employees' RN names and license numbers, and eNotify will trigger a response to the employer anytime a status changes and at renewal time. This service is not only available to employers, it's also available to RNs at no additional charge, or I should say at no charge. Are there any questions?
I have a question. So if you need to have you need a copy of a license to show somebody that it is current, how would you go about, what would be the process to print that out, to make a copy?
So you could log onto your Breeze account and you can print your information. An employer can actually or they don't even have to log into. They can access Breeze through the board's website and click on the license or verify a license button, and they can enter your RN number or your name, and they can verify your licensure information.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, I have a question. Go ahead, Barbara.
So it sounds like this is a big cost savings opportunity. My question, though, is have you done any kind of survey with employers to find out if this would be at a convenient, workable solution that their nurses or staffing will not be impacted?
That actually is our next step, to contact the associations and potentially some of the employers to determine whether this is going to be an issue for them. I know there are some employers that require the actual physical card. The problem is
But why?
as soon as that card is printed,
That would be my question. Why do the employers
it's no good. It's
require-
only good the day it's printed.
But I think that you need to hear from your stakeholders.
Yes, absolutely.
There's stakeholders in this
Yes.
issue.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a question. You didn't tell us what the postage cost. What's the cost for the 290,000?
Yes, well, the postage cost is 46 cents per, so total per year is over $90,000.
So excuse me, your $290,000 does not include postage?
That does include postage, yes.
So there's no.
That is included within the contract.
So
I'm
it's
sorry,
not
that's
90,000, okay, thank you.
Yes. The other thing that you need to, that you're probably not aware of, if a licensee does not change their address, then those cards are returned to the board. Because those are not forwardable documents. So they're returned to the board. And then we basically house them for about 3 months. If they contact us, we mail them out once they've changed their address. So a lot of those cards are coming back to the board. They're never being claimed. They're being destroyed. Or we're resending them, we're remailing them after they've changed their address with us.
So it's not an automatic opportunity that if someone renews their license, they don't automatically get a copy?
Yes,
Or
they
they do
do.
get a copy?
Yes.
So they've automatically renewed a license.
Mhm.
On the renewal application for that license is an updated address.
Yes.
Whose licenses are being returned then?
Those that are not providing that information.
So you're automatically renewing licenses without being requested to have them renewed?
No,
No.
They pay,
No.
and then it's renewed.
So I don't understand, I don't understand the returns and what kind of numbers are we talking with returns?
So a license, I don't have the numbers on the returned, right? with me.
5,000, 20? million?
Monthly, we probably receive close to 3,000.
Returns?
Returned.
So you're telling me that
the 18,
3,000
yes.
people a month are applying for renewal of their license? They're submitting money?
Yes.
The money is, if it's a check, is being verified, the address is being verified, and you're receiving 3,000 back?
Yes.
Wow.
Because they don't change their addresses.
Imelda Seiu Bedkowitz, I have a question. So why don't we put a hold or an alert? So next time, their employer, someone is trying to verify their license, I mean, that would kind of prompt them to report their new address. Oh. Oh, yeah.
If they don't, yeah.
don't change their
If they don't
Oh,
change
that's
their
right.
address.
So we had the new system, we wouldn't be mailing them.
Right.
Okay.
See, that's,
But nonetheless, I mean, if we're getting documents returned because, then we should put some kind of alert or a hold or something.
Well, it is the licensee's responsibility to change their address within 30 days.
I have a question, Christina.
Yes.
We all know about technology, and we know what happens when our computers freeze at work and we go crazy. The 24/7 concerns me in the sense that if it goes down and somebody's trying to verify a license, there is no way then to verify that license, an employer. So I think it
But it won't
really
be
is.
down for a long time.
Well, you never know. It would, behoove us to make sure that we verify or talk with the employers to see if they get their input.
Right, but even with even if I was, even if you were to show someone a pocket card, that doesn't necessarily mean that your license is
falsified.
clear. I mean, not even falsified. It could be a valid license that you received a year ago when you renewed, but there could be some sort of action against your license at that point, at the time that you're presenting it to the employer.
No,
So,
I
and
agree. I agree
yes.
with that. But I think it's important, as Barbara said, to make sure that we've discussed it with the employers.
And the
Absolutely,
major, large
yes.
employers, because
And
I.
that's why she said she's
Yeah.
going to send out a survey
But-
to all the stakeholders
Yeah.
and all the associations
Because-
and the large employers.
So Cindy Klein, the reason is a lot of employers want the actual hard copy, like giving your driver's license. They want the actual hard copy in your license. So if these employers are not willing to budge on that, then there will be a big issue. So I think it's really important to talk to the employers because they have rules and policies about these things before we decide on it.
Joe Morris, again, I want to just echo what Christina's saying, and the whole purpose is to look at updating our business practices. If you recall, even with insurance companies, there was a time where I received a hard copy, but now it's a paper copy that we use now. So again, we will explore options. We will speak with our stakeholders and look at our business practices and update them accordingly.
thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Can we hear from the University of California? She's been sitting there like trying to be quiet really hard. Can we hear from you?
Yes, I just wanted to say that I have no problem with. We have no problem with no cards because we always have to verify the license online to make sure that it's current and accurate. My comment is, though, that your system does break down. It is not available 24/7. It is not available at 5 in the morning sometime. It's not available at 5 o'clock in the afternoon when I'm trying to verify license for people who are supposed to be starting the next day or on Monday. So I think you need to make sure that you check and the Bree system works correctly because that's a big problem. But Joint Commission, though, it's primary verification, and so we go to the site for Joint Commission. So we no longer require the license. We require that we go online and verify the license, and we use E-Verify for all of our renewals. And I go online, and if only thing I would say is to make it easier for us to read the problems and any disciplinary actions that are on, because I have to tell you, it takes me sometimes 15, 20 minutes to go through the breeze until I can actually open up some kind of a document that tells me why the person's license has been revoked or on probation. But otherwise, I don't think you need a card anymore. I think it's old. So,
Thank you for your comment. So,
In terms-
Joint Commission, it's not required that you show up with this hard card like in the old days. Yeah.
They can't hear on the web.
So that was a big question.
So as a stakeholder, Providence looks at primary source and does go to the website. In fact, the card is not valid for anything because the next day you could have stipulations upon your license. Coming recently
Or a
from...
fraudulent card.
Or a fraudulent card. Coming recently from another state, from Texas, many years ago, we changed the regulations, in fact, prohibit the use of any paper copies. It must be an online verification in order to be current.
Thank you for that comment.
We need you on the webcast.
As the largest
You gotta
national,
come forward. You have to be on camera when you're
I
offering
do.
up
I'm
public
sorry.
comments.
And please state your name.
Hold your coffee down to your side, so you know.
Is that good?
I'm just saying.
I gotta get the pose right. Okay, so as one of the largest, or the largest healthcare staffing corporation in the country, we license thousands of nurses. We do not require the card because, just as Sherry and Jan said, we do e-nurses verify. We use the primary source verification for all the reasons that are explained here today, and I fully support the decision to move forward without the card.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you very much. Any more comments from the board? So what would a motion look like for us? We would like to begin looking at this process to where you can. So,
Just direct the staff to do it.
so we'll give staff the board will give staff direction. This is what we'll do. For you to begin looking at methods for us to go paperless with our licensure, like hard cards, and we'd like for you to create a survey for stakeholders
Also,
and
how often the
organizations.
BRIE system
I will
goes
second
down.
that.
We don't need a motion.
We don't need a
He's
vote.
just giving direction.
We don't need a
We don't
vote
need
for
a
this.
motion. I would like to know how often the BRIE system also goes down, because if we're gonna go paperless, our technology needs to support that.
Yes.
I mean, it's just fair. And also, if there's an option, I don't know if this is something to be considered, if they don't want a card, they could press check a no button and no card. We can't do that. It automatically renews it. I mean,
right there.
You're gonna want a card 3.
if there's an option that you can look into, in case, for example, just look into it. It's just something to look
There he
into
is.
it.
Excuse me,
So-
why do we need a survey?
Because you want to get
Part of
input
a
from the
survey is also
you
for
want to get
educational
input
purposes.
Yes.
you want to get input from the stakeholders, from the large employers, from the large nursing organizations. You need to get input from
And from
them.
our licensees, there's over 400,000 of them.
What you're doing also is you're starting the conversation. You're starting the conversation, which is an educational process, which by when it gets to that point that whether you do whatever you're going to do, people feel that they've been engaged and they've been asked, so they know it's on their radar.
It's part of the change management process.
Okay, so we will provide, we will follow the board's directives, and we will provide a survey.
Mr. Department of Consumer Affairs, did you have a public comment that you'd like to make for Breeze? This is the gentleman from the Department of Consumer
Jason.
Affairs.
Yes, Jason Baccioni, Chief Information Officer for the Department of Consumer Affairs. In answer to how often Breeze goes down, over the last 12 months, unscheduled downtime for the Breeze system was just south of 8 hours total for that 12-month period. However, the outage that people experience are due to scheduled releases that we do on a approximately every 6-week period, but we do at sometimes do emergency releases for fixes that must go in. So, and those are generally done, excuse me, in the evening, after hours, or on the weekend. And those generally take between an hour to 2 hours.
So we're all, the board's going to give staff direction to go ahead and create a survey, look into the options, and then bring this information back to the board.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, item 6.3, discuss and possible vote on transitioning licensing verification process to nurses.
Hello again, Stacy Brm, an Assistant Executive Officer. So we have been in talks with National Council. They have a data integrity project that they are working towards, so that all states report their verifications to other states through nurses. California is one of the states that does not participate in this process. We provide email version. We can provide license verification via email, via regular mail, and we've been told that there are opportunities for fraudulent activities to take place where once someone knows what the license verification from California looks like, they can create their own, they can submit it to other states, which has happened on occasion. And the process for license verification through nurses is a fairly seamless one, as other people from other states can attest to coming to California if they're verifying into California, that you can do it online, it's less costly, it's quicker. And so we have been speaking with National Council to make that move. We would like to initiate the conversation to possibly transition to this process, and wanted to give the board time to discuss and hear the benefits of doing so. It would result in a loss of revenue for the verification process that we currently do for California. However, this was taken into consideration when we sought fee increases with the Senator Hill and in the bill for SB 1039. And so if that bill is approved, then revenue would offset the money that would be lost from the license verification process. And in addition, National Council has offered to work with California because of the revenue issue, and to send the money, the verification money that they are collecting, for a certain period of time while we transition to this process. So they would give us the fees even though they were doing the work or providing the information, because all of the information is electronically stored in nurses. So it isn't necessarily a manpower issue for nurses to provide a license verification to any of the other states.
It's a private third-party system, though, and so it's a private.
So it's something that we
third-party system.
We haven't agreed to that part of it, but we have.
I'm going to tell you, I would like a legal opinion on this. It feels very uncomfortable to me.
Okay.
So it's a third-party system, right?
Mhm.
That's private. There's some
However-
trade secrets that they don't share with the public.
Sure, but the data that we provide that they use for their verification is our data.
Okay. And how much on the cost will we lose?
So we were, the license verification cost $60 up until January 1st of this year. It was in the emergency fee increase that we just did, where it was bumped up to the top to $100. So the license verification for California is now $100. So it would be $100 per verification.
Through nurses?
No, our cost,
Our
that's
cost.
that's the revenue that we
So let me
collect.
ask the question, since I'm probably the newest member here and don't understand what you're talking about at all.
Okay.
For someone to have their license verified by an employer, what is the $100 paying for? Or the $60? Is it paying for, if I'm going to work for someone, it's paying for that?
No. This is actually for an individual who is applying for licensure in another state. If they're licensed in one state, they could endorse their licensure to another state. But the state requires, all of the states require verification of licensure from the state that you're licensed in. So if you were going to Texas as a nurse and you applied for licensure in Texas via endorsement, you would pay California $100 to verify your licensure information in California to the state of Texas. The information.
So it's not part of public information, whether someone's licensed in your state or
No,
not?
the verification itself, we provide, the information that's provided is all of their licensure information. So their schooling information, where they attended school, their degrees, when they were initially licensed. There is additional information that's more than what's available to the public.
So I would still like a legal opinion on it feels very, receiving money back for service that it feels funny to me.
And this,
We can do that. We just wanted to bring that, this is something that we were exploring and wanted the board to be aware of it.
Okay. So the directions from the board will be to
Keep
work
on
with
thinking
legal
about it.
counsel to get a legal opinion on it and to
Continue to explore.
continue to
Continue to explore.
explore
I
and
would
bring
go along,
back
sure.
numbers.
Okay.
And if I can offer up one comment regarding this, again, the whole purpose is to look at our business practices and what is the cost of doing business in return for customer satisfaction.
You have a public comment, ma'am?
I do. I just want to say one thing, that the BRN uses, what's interesting to me is the BRN uses the nurses for nurses coming into the state of California to get our license. So I'm finding it quite questionable why we, as the state of California, can't support our nurses who are trying to get jobs in other states. So I think it's kind of, if we accept nurses to get verification of their license, why can't we participate in nurses to help our nurses to get licenses in other states?
Thank you for your comment.
Moving on, item 6.4, Cloud Drive presentation by DCA Office of Information Services. A long time.
Good morning. Good morning, Board President Jackson,
Good morning.
Dr. Morris, board members. My name is Jason Piccioni. I'm the Chief Information Officer for the Department of Consumer Affairs. We're here this morning to share a short presentation on some exciting technological implementations at the Board of Registered Nursing. Our presentation is titled BRN and DCA, a Growing Partnership in Technology. I'm very excited to report that the Office of Information Services at the department is fully engaged with the board to identify opportunities for efficiency and solutions, potentially technical solutions, to implement. We will be speaking about 3 topics today: the Brn Cloud Drive, Breeze, and Qbert, our business analytics tool. I will now yield the mic to my colleague, Mr. Baird Cowan.
Thank you, Jason. Good morning, board members. My name is Baird Cowan. I'm the Chief Technology Officer for the California Department of Consumer Affairs, Office of Information Services. I'm here today to go over the Brn Cloud Drive solution, describe the platform as it is configured, and go over some specific use cases that the Board of Registered Nursing is utilizing with regards to this service offering. So what is the Brn Cloud Drive? The Brn Cloud Drive is DCA's and BRN's online storage facility. The platform is a multi-tenant service used by other boards and bureaus throughout DCA. If you're familiar with Dropbox or OneDrive, DCA's Cloud Drive is similar to those services with extra functionality that enables our business processes to be secure and consistent across all verticals within DCA. The Cloud Drive is accessible from a PC using a browser, as well as accessible from your smartphones, tablets, via a free downloadable app from the App Store or from the Android store. Currently, the infrastructure is fully managed by DCA's Office of Information Services, with all business process management fully managed by your BRN staff. All files, folders, whether it is transcript data, board meeting minutes, or other sensitive documents, are fully secured utilizing multiple firewalls and security certificates to ensure all data is encrypted in flight and at rest. The infrastructure meets all HIPAA, FINRA, and ISO, which is actually a bunch of acronyms to let us know it's a very secure platform. So I'd like to detail for you today for the Board of Registered Nursing transcript submittal process. The process was fully developed by BRN staff to take advantage of the Cloud Drive solution to target specific areas the staff felt helped streamlining the licensing process. The solution has been piloted over the past several weeks. BRN staff create a separate secure folder for each school in the pilot. Each quarter, the Brn Cloud Drive liaisons create secure uploaded folder links for each participating school. The links are created with a 90-day expiration date and a unique password for that school and that folder. The staff member then email a unique URI to the school's representative that will allow them to upload the transcript to their school's folder. The school representative will then open the secure web link, enter the password to gain access to the secure folder. With a single drag and drop into their browser, the staff can upload the transcripts to the Brn Cloud Drive. Once the transcripts has been uploaded, the Cloud Drive BRN staff can then download and review the transcripts and upload to the Breeze and complete the process. The Cloud Drive solution will improve the overall efficiency of the licensing process by removing the need to mail transcripts and process the mail by BRN staff. Again, saving costs. BRN staff are also looking at other processes and areas to utilize the Cloud Drive services, such as distribution of board meeting minutes allows for last-minute changes to the meeting minutes and help reduce the cost of printing and reprinting those minutes. Also, will allow a single location for all staff and board members to review online. As well, storing annual handbooks online will help reduce printing costs and provide immediate access to users of the Cloud Drive services. And thank you. I'd like to turn the mic over to Mr. Piccioni.
I'd like to now provide an update to our Breeze system. I don't have any slides for this, so I'll just be speaking for this part. With regards to the Breeze online application, the Board of Registered Nursing is seeing a high volume of applicants using the online portal. From January 2016 to the end of August 2016, 73% of all RN exam applications have been submitted using the online portal. During that same time period, 74% of RN licensees submitted their renewal via the online portal. Those who chose to submit renewals online see a dramatically quicker turnaround for their application approval. Of those renewals submitted online in August, 93% were processed in 1 day or less. There are currently 106 BRN outstanding requests for system changes. Since January 2016, 78 BRN system change requests have been resolved, with an additional 23 set for resolution, with a software release scheduled for deployment next Wednesday. To give you an idea of our growing capacity for system changes, the request for change or work ticket inventory peaked in March 2016 with 1,327 work tickets. This peak was expected as a result of the Breeze 2 stabilization period. As of August 26th, there are 702 work tickets remaining, with 195 more to be resolved with the release at the end of September. The department is completing between 160 and 203 work tickets per release. At the same time, since April, the amount of new work tickets has plateaued at about 150 new per month. These numbers show a very favorable trend. To make sure that the work ticket remains in alignment with the board's operations, the department and the board has recently established a bi-weekly meeting with board staff and Breeze business integration analysts. Our final topic is data access and reporting. One of the most critical lessons learned from Release 1 of the Breeze efforts was the need for a robust methodology for obtaining data from the Breeze system. The department and the board has extended this requirement to include the academics of business analytics. Simply put, business analytics is a methodology to quickly retrieve data and use it to make operational and strategic decisions. From this, the Qbert system was born. The Quality Business Interactive Reporting Tool, which was successfully piloted with your board in April 2016, is now fully deployed. The QBERT system is a business analytics platform with its signature characteristic of being self-service. It is a business mandate to produce reports. Application workload reports, general licensing reports, certification data, complaint and enforcement data, as well as aggregated workload data. The intent of this slide is to convey just how easy it is with the QBERT platform for your board staff to produce reports like these. The hallmark of the QBERT system is its intuitive self-service interface. Your board can produce these reports with the click of a button. More importantly, your staff, with appropriate training, can produce list reports, columnar data reports, charts, graphs, and pivot tables without IT support. Staff can begin with a blank slate and drag and drop data points onto the canvas while working in a data-rich and secure environment. The canvas that I'm showing on the slide currently is where RN staff could start to build these rich data reports. I simply drag, as I'm showing here, data onto the report, adding different data points as I go along. As you can see, I'm simply dragging and dropping all of these data points with the data set results changing. And I'll get through this. So just like that, we've created a report that the board requested, the executive officer requested, or simply operational day-to-day reports for workload management. With the QBERT system, obstacles to Breeze data access are a thing of the past. Recently, BRN staff told me, and I quote, "BRN loves QBERT." Jump through a couple of these slides here. To reinforce cultural adoption and full effectiveness of the new platform, the department has recently coordinated 3 sessions for board staff. A successful session was conducted in August, with another scheduled for later September, and a third in the winter or spring. This concludes our presentation. We'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
So I have a question. Between Breeze and the iCloud, Breeze is being used for discipline and for licensing, and the iCloud is to be used for what?
The cloud drive in its current use, and many others that we're thinking of, is a methodology for quick communication and transport of required components to either the licensure process, the enforcement process, any process that requires documents, communication, et cetera, like transcripts as an example, from schools to the board, from licensed applicants to the board, et cetera.
So is this an added support system for Breeze?
It's definitely complementary, yes.
So currently, we're using it for transcript, right?
During the pilot process, yes. And again, you heard the young lady speak this morning, and Dr. Robert Nelson speak about the success of the process.
Where have you been all this time? We needed you.
Who?
That was these guys.
She's talking to you.
Oh, she's talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh.
Both of you. It's like we needed this.
No, truly, we're truly excited about this pilot, and we truly hope that the board, kind of supports us in this effort, and we really feel optimistic and confident about the use of this technology, improving the process.
How large of a pilot is this? I mean, how many people? It can hold as many as the cloud. I'm sure it can hold tons of information, but if you're talking about in the future, with the volume that we get, will it be sustainable? It won't crash? Or the cloud won't come down?
If the cloud crashes, we're all in trouble. Of course, I can't say that the service won't go down at any time, but the sustainability from a capacity standpoint is not a concern at this point. To say it's infinite, it would be oversimplifying, but it's a cloud service that is very well supported.
Robin, I'd just like to ask you, how easy was it, the whole process for you to use?
It was very, very simple. Our registrar, who was very suspicious about sending our transcripts off to this cloud, verified that it met all the compliance requirements, the security that we would want as a university. And they have a new form, which all the students' names are listed, 40 per sheet. And then I have to e-sign it, and they were gone. I mean, they went into Flash, and we were able, as the campuses, to just upload to the site that they talked about, this one that was school specific, and it was a breeze. Not to, but it did work beautifully.
Great, thank you.
And we uploaded 240 transcripts.
Okay.
Wow.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board members? Any other comments from board members down here? No other comments?
Thank you.
Before you go, so some of the issues with Breeze, you said there's like 23 more. Included in that is it hard stops into the renewal system, such as the fingerprints. When you get to that question in the Breeze, are they adding hard stops into the Breeze system?
That's already fixed.
It's been fixed?
That was, yes.
When?
That was a part of Dr. Morris's,
So that one's going to be taken care of, so I won't be getting a bunch of calls from nurses saying that, oh, you forgot to answer this question anymore? Okay. No.
Yes. So it was updated.
Thank you very much.
Thank
And are we working towards improving the out-of-state endorsement process through Breeze? So maybe we won't have to go with another company.
The remaining ERN-specific system request changes, I can't necessarily say that
Okay.
is in those, whatever number I quoted before. However, what Dr. Morris and I said earlier with regard to full engagement to look for efficiencies, we talked about biweekly meetings. These are hallmarks of, again, a growing technology partnership and a very standard and regular cadence with looking at these to make sure that the endorsements that come from concerns in these forums are addressed. Look for efficiencies that can be addressed via a cloud, via a business process update, or any combination thereof.
Thank you very much.
Just for the record, Jason, I just really want to thank you and your team and working collaboratively with DCA to really help improve some of the efficiencies. And again, I want to thank also the director for his full support as well.
Thank you.
Can I make a comment? I think this is the proper place. The survey that went out to the BRN members and stakeholders that Dr. Morris had mentioned earlier in the agenda, was that done with the assistance of your department, or was this a different group?
That was actually completed through Solid.
Okay, because I was just going to say that these type of interactions really are very positive.
Agree.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I just wanted to comment on your comment about the endorsement process. So we currently do have a process in place for the verifications. Is that what you were referring
Online.
to?
We have it in Breeze?
It's currently in Breeze, and it's currently functioning. It functions, and we use it every day. It's not a Breeze issue. It's a manpower issue on our end.
Okay.
That's what she
said.
Start using the term staffing.
Staffing, yes, excuse me.
All right. Item 6.5, board meeting dates. They're included in your agenda. Any comments from the board members?
Yes.
Andy?
One. Can I start? Okay. Trandy Phillips, I had one question. In 2016, we scheduled 2 additional days for disciplinary meetings because we were working on the discipline issues of having more opportunities to have people come forward that needed to appear before the board. I was wondering, I don't see that in 2017. Would those be added later, or are we not going to do that this year?
Let's get comments from Stacy.
As you know, so many are pending
because the October location is kind of a challenge for a 3-day meeting.
So as far as the 3-day meetings go, we've actually had a difficult time getting petitioners and the higher number of petitioners that the board wanted to see scheduled. In fact, for the October meeting, we've only been able to schedule 21, and the goal was 24.
Right.
So it's been difficult getting the petitioners scheduled. Well, we had the same
Are we
issue with the
talking,
first
just
one as
point
well.
of clarification, you're talking the Fresno location?
Well, no, it's not necessarily specific to that location. We had difficulty for the first meeting as well. I mean, we had to go far into the list to get the people that came before you at that meeting as well. So it may be a petitioner issue as well. So we can revisit the issue if you feel the need. We can bring the numbers of what our backlog is as far as how many petitioners are still waiting to be heard. But we've been making pretty good progress on that.
Okay. Are there any comments about the dates?
Yes. Yes.
Comments about the dates?
So I would like to understand what the thought process was to change, to move dates of the meeting for Tuesday, Wednesday meetings versus Wednesday, Thursday meetings. It's feeling like we're taking out the week.
Hotel contracts, more cost effective. It's easier to travel on Tuesday, to get there on Tuesday rather than get there in
As
the
we,
week.
I don't agree with
Christina
that.
Sprague. As we try to locate hotels, set up contracts with hotels, we do inquire about the best days of the week for basically these types of meetings to occur. And throughout, the year, we have been asking, and the hotels have pretty much unanimously let us know that anytime between Monday and Wednesday are the best times to hold these types of meetings. They are usually booked Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays for conferences, other larger events. So it's very difficult for us to find locations that would support the size, specifically on our discipline days that we need. As you could tell from yesterday, we had over 400 students here. It's very tough to accommodate that type of attendance on certain days, and we've had very difficult time trying to locate hotels that could accommodate us within the specified dollar amount that were allotted through the state. So we always have to take that into consideration as well.
Any more comments from the board about the dates? Do we need a motion to vote on this? No public comment about the dates? No, we don't need any public comment about the dates, do we? All righty. That concludes that portion. Moving on to item 7.0, report on the Education Licensing Committee.
Leslie Moody, Nursing Education Consultant for the Board of Registered Nursing, Liaison to Education Licensing Committee. Item 7.1, vote on whether to ratify minor curriculum revisions and acknowledge receipt of program progress report. These are items that are reviewed by nursing education consultants and approved at the time and brought to the board for ratification acknowledgement, usually done by a single motion unless there are questions about any individual item.
I make a motion that we accept.
I second.
Any public comment? Seeing no public comment, call for the question beginning on my left.
Trendy Phillips, yes.
Elizabeth Woods, yes.
Imelda Seja Beckwith, yes.
Ray Malel, yes.
Michael Jackson, yes.
Cindy Klein, yes.
Barbara Yaroslavsky, yes.
Pilar de la Cruz Reyes, yes.
All righty.
Item 7.2, vote on whether to approve Education Licensing Committee recommendations. Education Licensing Committee met on August 11, 2016, makes the following recommendations. Continue approval of pre-licensure nursing program for National University Baccalaureate Degree Nursing Program, Sonoma State University Baccalaureate Degree Nursing Program, Cerritos College Associate Degree Nursing Program, Long Beach City College Associate Degree Nursing Program, Mount St. Mary's University Los Angeles Associate Degree Nursing Program, Palomar College Associate Degree Nursing Program, Pasadena City College Associate Degree Nursing Program, Santa Rosa Junior College Associate Degree Nursing Program. Continue approval of Advanced Practice Nursing Program for Sonoma State University Nurse Practitioner Program. Defer approval of Pre-Licensure Nursing Program for College of Marin Associate Degree Nursing Program. And approve a major curriculum revisions for American University of Health Sciences Baccalaureate Degree Nursing Program, California State University Bakersfield Baccalaureate Degree Nursing Program, California State University Los Angeles Baccalaureate Degree Nursing Program, University of California Irvine Baccalaureate Degree Nursing Program, California State University Bakersfield Nurse Practitioner Program, and California State University Los Angeles Nurse Practitioner Program. These are all items that have been heard by Education Licensing Committee, and recommendations are summarized in the attachment, and as stated, usually considered with a single motion unless there are questions about any individual
I
item.
make a motion that we accept item 7.2. Any public comment for item 7.2? No public comment. Call for the question on my left.
Trandy Phillips, yes.
Elizabeth Woods, yes.
Melda Seha Butkowitz, yes.
Ray Malal, yes.
Michael Jackson, yes.
Cindy Klein, yes.
Barbara Yaroslavsky, yes.
Laura Dela Cruz Reyes, yes.
Item 7.3, vote on whether to grant initial approval of Pre-Licensure Nursing Program for California Career College Associate Degree Nursing Program.
Good morning. Mio Minato, Supervising Nursing Education Consultant for Southern California. Can they hear me? Okay, I'll try. California Career College is here to present their proposed program for initial approval. To my right, we have representative from the college, and I will introduce Elizabeth Estrada, who is the director of the nursing program for California Career College, and Susan Naimi, CEO for the program, and also Carlos Ramos, who is their, is it IT?
Assistant administrator.
Okay, assistant administrator. And I have been working with all of them, along with Dr. Linda Sperling, to work on the program's proposal. Their feasibility study was accepted back in April of 2014. And since then, the program has been working to bring their program forward, and it has taken till June of this year to really complete the process. On June 1st, 2016, Linda Sperling and I conducted initial program approval at California Career College ADM program, and their program is located in Canoga Park, which is approximately 25 miles northwest of downtown area, downtown LA, that is. And the program was found to be in compliance with all BRN rules and regulation. California Career College is a post-secondary institution. It was established in 2001 and operates as a private corporation. The school currently offers associate degree vocational nursing program, and it has approval from the BPPE, and also is accredited by Accrediting Bureau of Health Education Schools. The LVN program's Nclex pass rate is 73%, which meets the BVNPT standard pursuant to their regulation. And so that has been obtained as far as they're meeting that standard. Going on, the campus building is a two-story, 4,200 square foot building, and it offers primarily the LVN program. And the proposed program will occupy the same space, but because of the scheduling process that they have in place, the enrollment size of 24 students 3 times a year, and the LVN program currently that they operate will be able to share the space with the existing classrooms, office spaces, and other resources that they have in place. And their library learning resources are through the electronic format. The self-study indicated that the program has an applicant pool, adequate applicant pool, and also they're able to attract qualified faculty for their program. Their plan included hiring full-time as well as part-time for the beginning portion of the program, and will continue to add staff as they increase their enrollment size. The curriculum proposed uses nursing process and Gordon's functional health pattern as the basis for their curriculum. They incorporate current standards of competency such as QSIN and evidence-based concepts and practices in their curriculum development. Curriculum is intended to be completed in 2 years, and it includes all of the required content. The curriculum will be conducted in 15-week semesters and 6-semester system. Total units license required. Even though it says 68, it's supposed to be 67 units. The total units for graduation is 70 semester units. And the 24 students 3 times a year admission is intended to start this fall. At the last ELC meeting on August 11, 2016, the committee recommended to defer the decision and asked that the board staff make additional visits to a proposed site that they were in consultation with at the time of the meeting, which was the Ventura County Medical Center, an acute care facility that would really enhance their clinical facility selection that they had, because that was a primary concern that the committee had, that there may not be adequate acute care facility experiences for them. And so on September, and for myself to come back and present this information to the full board. So I did make a visit on August 17th with Susan Naimi, and visited the facility. And it is a 223-bed acute care teaching facility. It does have all of the required content area experiences available, including ER and many of the ICU settings as well. And I did verify with the education director there about the clinical placement to take in the number of students that California Career College is proposing. And what she said was that there will not be any problem in taking in these students, and the current schools that are using the facility, which is Moore Park College, Ventura College, and Cal State Channel Islands, will be able to continue there as well, so there won't be any impact.
Did that director put that in writing?
Well, I did talk to her verbally.
Okay.
And she verified that for me at the time I visited.
And will those about nighttime, will be weekend and nighttime placements?
As
or will
far
be
as
during-
I know, that was not an issue that was discussed, those were the only openings that were available. So there was no restriction as far as clinical site placements.
Are there going to be any clinical sites for ambulatory care?
There are multiple locations available within that medical center setting, and other sites, they said, could be made available should it become necessary. So that includes a lot of the ambulatory care sites that's already available on campus there at the medical center. And the medical center was updating their building, and so they were in the process of completing the building and moving into the new one in 2017. And some of the, like the ER that they showed me, they said they were trying to expand the number of beds there. So I believe that this really adds to the clinical facility selection available to the school as well. I know that Carlos is continuing to add to what they have available to, continue to enhance their learning experience. What else can I say? But I do believe at this point, they do meet the requirements.
I did have, as a committee member, I raised the issue of the 4,200 square feet.
Yes.
For two full-time schools.
Yes.
And
One thing is.
What I want is an explanation of the hours that they will be sharing and how we can put that many people in 4,200 feet.
Okay.
With a
Well,
large conference room as well.
They-
Takes up space.
right.
Maybe they can explain
They
that
could
to
explain
the
that,
board.
but
Yeah.
the other thing that was in discussion was that they have an alternate location that they have in consideration should additional space is needed. So that's something that they had already anticipated, but they could answer your question about scheduling.
Mia, my question, I believe, was on the pediatric side of it and the average daily census of peds in that facility. Was there enough peds in that facility?
I believe when I did visit, they did have specific unit for pediatrics.
They had a unit?
Yes.
That's, just for clarification, along with what she's saying, having a unit doesn't mean an average daily census.
Well-
We actually need to know an average daily
Well,
census.
their bed size is 16.
That is not an average daily census. You
But
could have bed
there,
size of
what I'm
16 and
saying
one
to you,
patient.
what I'm saying to you is when we were there, it was filled.
It was filled, okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Let me get to my question.
Good morning, everybody. In response to your question, our LVN students currently meet right now Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Our RN students will be meeting Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in order for them not to have any scheduling conflicts. So in that way, we're able to accommodate everyone without any issues. And also, we have searched, and also just in case we need any additional space, we will have it available for our students in the near future.
I have a question about chronic care management. Is there a focus going to be, or classes over chronic care management? Chronic illnesses?
Yes, we do have that in a chronic management, yes.
You need to speak up, please.
Oh, good morning, can you hear me?
Thank you, yes.
Yes, okay. We do have that, yes.
There will be a focus on that?
Yes.
How many hours in the curriculum would that be?
Probably 10% of the curriculum.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
10%.
10% of the program?
Yes.
Oh, Mio, can you state your recommendations
The recommendation will be that since they do meet all of the requirements, that we will grant, that the board grant initial approval of the associate degree nursing program to California Career College, and their admission numbers will be 24 students 3 times per year, and that the board will make a visit that's for new programs, which is 1 year after their start of the nursing program. There'll be a visit done, and prior to the students' graduation of the first cohort, there'll be another visit by the NAC and progress report reported back to the board.
At the previous Education Licensing Committee, did we mention something about the number of students?
The only concerns that were expressed at the committee meeting were regarding the clinical
Clinical
placement that
placements.
needed to be verified
And it
and
was
validated
verified.
for census and that.
All right, any other questions from the board members?
I have a question. When you're talking about when you make the visits after the first year, will there be an opportunity to either survey or have students present to get their input?
When we make our site visit for new program, the first time we do go meet, we will meet with the students that have been admitted, and we review various policies and procedures that the school has in place, whether those were being followed, and also we ask the students how their experiences has been and how the teaching has gone. So that's one group we meet with. The other group we meet with is with faculty to see how they are preparing and how they're implementing the curriculum. And then, of course, we will meet with administration.
Mio, I have another question.
Yes.
The list, where it has the list of agencies, there's affiliation agreements for all those that are listed?
The ones that have been listed, those are the ones that with contracts.
Okay, and so they have some pending ones also, right?
They had 5 pending ones.
Okay.
That if you need it, they can certainly update to you. But again, when we go to the site visit, we ask for faculty lists, clinical lists, and we verify that all the facility that they're using are in compliance. So when we list the facilities at this point with self-study, that means that we have verified contracts, signed contracts.
Okay.
So they have actually 13 that they had listed, plus the Ventura.
So as part of this overall evaluation process, at the end of the day, when students finish their education and they go and get jobs, is there any kind of conversation with their employers as to the quality of the applicant and how they're performing and they've been prepared to work in the workplace?
The graduate survey is usually done by the program after they have completed. It's usually like 6 months or 1 year after their graduation, and that's part of the total program evaluation plan that we expect that the school maintain. So it's the school that will go and ask for that, and when we go on our continuing approval visit, that's when we will look at those data to see the satisfaction.
So the satisfaction by the students, but the satisfaction by the institution where they've been hired as
Yes,
well?
both. The only thing I would say about the graduation surveys is that almost all schools, their response rate is very low. And it's because it's difficult to get employer responses to the individual students that graduated and got employed. So many schools, what they do to get that information is they usually have advisory committee meetings where they invite neighboring agencies to be part of this evaluation, and they ask at that time if they employ their students and how they are doing. That's one method that schools do to gain that information.
Thank you.
I have a question about priorities. Do you give priority to your LVN students to go into this program?
To or graduate or
I'm sorry?
to or graduate or to other school graduates.
No, you said you had an LVN program also. Do you give priority to those students going into the program, for the RN program?
We have an entrance exam. Everybody takes that entrance exam, so whoever passes the entrance exam, they have a priority to enter. It's not only our students, any other students that they pass the entrance. Yes.
And they would have to have their GE.
They have to
units
have a
done
diploma and GE.
before they enter the program. Is that correct?
GE, some of the GE courses we offer, and if they can transfer, we can accept the GE courses, yes.
Thank you.
I forgot to ask you, what was the charge for the program? I think I've heard it before, but I forgot.
$58,000, and if they are LVN, so they get $6,000 credit for that.
So it's per year for the entire program?
For the entire
Per year.
program.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the board members?
I had one other question, I'm sorry. When you're going to do the site visits, do you also look at any turnover in faculty?
That will be, turnover of faculty will be one of the factors that we do look at when we review faculty information.
Thank you.
And can I ask how many faculty, full-time faculty you will have?
According to their plan, they will be starting with 2 full-time faculty and 4 part-time faculty. This will be the starting, and then they will be adding.
As they increase their enrollment?
Yes.
Please, go ahead.
Also, my position as program director, I have 25% where I teach. And then also our assistant director, who we will hire upon approval, will have 50% teaching time and then 50% administration. So we also have that backup.
So you're part of the 3 part-timers that they mentioned, or in addition to the 2 and 3, you'll be in addition? Okay.
Please state the recommendations again so we can vote.
Okay. To grant initial approval of the ADN program, to have 24 student admissions 3 times per year, and for NEC to visit 1 year after starting the nursing courses and prior to graduation of the first cohort, and the program plans to start fall 2016.
So move.
I just have one additional question. Where is the geriatrics included in your curriculum?
Wait, before you go on, I have a first.
Second.
Now, you can discuss.
Thank you.
The question is...
Is that integrated into the whole?
We have reviewed the curriculum when we did the self-study.
Okay.
So as far as that portion goes, it does meet the requirements. I can't tell you offhand whether it was integrated or had separate curriculum, Jerry course.
Okay.
But it has been reviewed and has been evaluated as meeting the requirements, so.
Okay, thank you.
Any public comment? Please come forward.
Dr. Marilyn Aguirre, Pasadena City College. I just have a question about the entrance number of students, 24. I wondered what that suggests a clinical group size of 12. We're being mandated by more and more of our clinical partners to keep our clinical groups at 10. Huntington, Kaiser, Keck USC, Verdugo Hills all have a limit of 10. So I didn't know if they had 3 small clinical groups or 2 large clinical groups, and I thought that might be of interest to the board.
Leo, I guess you could.
Just as a general rule, most schools have clinical size from 10 to 12. And part of the reason I think that 24 versus 20 will be that often there are attrition based on the number of students that you're bringing in. So if you start out only with 20 and you lose 2 or 4, whatever, sometimes then the size gets small. So often, some schools, I would say, and most often they have up to 12 is max number. 10 seems like a manageable number, and we do leave it up to the schools as far as number of student to faculty ratio. However, most of us, if we see a group size beyond 12, we would say to the school, I think you would need to limit it at 12. So it's like an internal standard that we hold that it will be not more than 12, but we don't say it has to be 10. Schools would like for us to say that to them, but we don't say that.
I'd like to hear from them, though, about what they would do about the clinical size, if that's what the facilities are requiring. Could one of you speak to that?
Yes, we have actually many other clinical sites that they can, if for instance, in the medical center, if 12 students cannot fit in one area, they can go to different areas. So it's going to be to ER, cardiac lab, they go to GI lab, they go to different location. Outpatient surgery.
You didn't seem to have a very big staff. How would they cover those various areas?
We are hiring as needed.
So the program has started already, is that?
No.
No.
This is what they're here for, to get approval.
No, I thought you said,
She has an
fall
LVN.
of this year.
No, we didn't start yet.
Okay, thank you.
So
He's
I have.
going to speak. I'd like to hear.
Well, the board member has a question here
Yes.
before you speak. No, go ahead, please.
So
we can
I'm
move it
back to
along.
Ray's original question, and that is 3 cohorts of 24 students per year is 72 students per year, and even with a drop-off, 4,200 square feet is a very small space for 10 people, let alone 72 people. And looking at the locations for where you're going to have clinical sites, from Canoga Park to Kaiser Sunset, that's interesting. But anyway, I'm not so sure that you're going to have enough people off. I just don't understand how this is going to work with 4,200 square feet of a site, so I'm a little concerned.
I think what happens is with the rotational schedule that they have, it's really not 3 being present at the same time. By the time the third one is coming in, there's
Everybody's
one
out and
going
about.
out.
So everyone's out and about?
And any one time in the building, there is 2 clinical groups.
Of 10 or 12, each group?
So that's one cohort size is there. And so their classroom will hold one cohort group, which is 24.
24, so it seems.
And their clinical space, when you talk about the labs that they have, it can accommodate the students. So they're not like all in one room at the same time. They will get split up into doing practice things. So there are spaces available for the activities that they're going to be doing.
You saw this, correct?
We went to the actual
Sites,
rooms
yes.
where the activities take place. I would say to you that most skills labs usually have 2 cohorts at a time. And when you have 2 cohorts, that means you usually have 2 faculty that could supervise the group at one time. So it's not 1 to 20 students. Classroom itself could be 1 to 24.
Right, there's 1 to 10.
But when it comes to clinical practice, it's usually 2 because you have 2 clinical
Right.
groups. So it seemed for us as well that it, like, you sure you're gonna have enough space, but the way that they have it scheduled, such a way that there's only 1 cohort present when they're in that school building. That's all I could say.
Call for the question.
You sure you're done? Any more questions or comments from the board? Any more public comments? Beginning to the left, call for the question.
Trendy Phillips, yes.
Elizabeth Woods, yes.
Melda Seha Butkowitz, yes.
Ray Malad, yes.
Michael Jackson, yes.
Cindy Klein, yes.
Barbara Yaroslavsky, yes.
Pilar de la Cruz Reyes, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
After we're done with the break,
You want a break?
Yes.
10 minutes?
Bio.
10-minute break right now, please.
Recommendations for East Los Angeles College Associate Degree Nursing Program.
Good morning. Laura Shanian, Nursing Education Consultant, Southern California. And with me today is Lurleen Gaines, Program Director for East Los Angeles College Associate Degree Nursing Program. And with her is Dr. Laura Ramirez, Vice President of Academic Affairs at East Los Angeles College. The program is being presented subsequent to the board's decision to issue warning status with intent to close ELAC nursing program at its September 3rd, 2015 meeting as a result of continued noncompliance for substandard Nclex pass rate. The noncompliance for substandard Nclex pass rate originates from the program's October 7-8, 2013 regularly scheduled continuing approval visit. Findings for the visit identified 5 areas of noncompliance, for which the program has corrected 4 areas. The remaining noncompliance for substandard Nclex pass rate of below 75% remains as depicted in the table. The update for the 2015-16 year 4 quarters reporting is 102 taken, 66 passed, for an annual pass rate of 64.17%. At the August 2015 ELC meeting, the reported annual Nclex pass rate was 58.02%. Since that time, 5 additional quarters of Nclex results have been reported for the program, and in your report, you do have those. You have 4 quarters, each below 75%. The most recent quarter, April-June 2015-16 result is 63.16%. Quarterly progress reports submitted by the program to the NEC for January through June 2016 referenced the substandard Nclex pass rates and contributed it to graduates who are delaying testing beyond 3 months. NEC examination of cohort data verified a significant number of students who have not tested, up to 1/3 of 2 cohorts. The majority of graduates who are testing 4 to 6 months post-graduation with mixed results. However, there was a recent spike in the number testing within 3 months. Reasons for delayed testing were described in the progress reports, as well as outreach efforts to contact graduates and offer free Nclex reviews, plus the use of program resources. Program resources aimed at increasing student success in the program include standardized testing in each course, remediation for scoring below 76% on any quiz or test, additional clinical and simulation, student mentorship program, faculty tutoring, faculty advisor to students, part-time social worker to assist students with life issues, additional assistant, an instructional assistant in the learning lab for evenings and weekends, mountain measurement Nclex program reports, and approval for 2 tenure track positions for med-surg and psych. There are currently 164 students enrolled in the program. Admission continues to be limited to 48 students twice annually. The final semester of the program's new curriculum is in progress and will graduate its first cohort this December. Evaluation of the new curriculum and review of the program's revised systematic plan for program evaluation, SPPE, was discussed during an NEC visit on June 22, 2016. The review focused on areas of the SPPE that lacked evaluative data needed to demonstrate expected levels of achievement in the program and was therefore inconclusive. Areas without any evaluative data were of concern given the current status of the program. Each of these areas are to be evaluated using key performance indicators as previously planned by the program in its August 2015 progress report. NEC discussed with the director and college administration the need for outside consultant support to assist with problem identification, the development of individualized remediation plans for high-risk students, and faculty development, all necessary in order to make substantive improvement toward bringing the program's pass rate into the compliance standard of 75%. That concludes my report.
Are there any comments from the board?
Question. You said in the report that they're delaying taking the Nclex. What are some of the reasons that they are delaying? Is it financial? Is it family obligations? Is it they're afraid?
All of the above.
All of the above.
Any particular one that stands out more than others?
No.
So I have a question. Is this going to help? Is this going to make things work by waiting and seeing and?
We're not waiting and seeing, we're constantly working with the
Right.
students.
But is there going to be some better outcomes?
Absolutely.
That's all I care about. Thank you.
Recommendations.
At Education Licensing Committee, there were several recommendations for types of interventions. So at this point, we would say the program will continue on warning status, decrease admission to 20 students per year, and implement corrective measures in consultation with the nursing education consultant. Submit quarterly progress reports to the NEC, and the program to return to Education Licensing Committee in March 2017.
So move.
Second.
Second.
Public comment.
Can I make, comment I have is, the school has been, I believe, admitting more than, I think twice, they've been admitting twice a year. So to reduce admission to once a year does impact greatly on the faculty assignments, I believe. So rather than reducing it to 20 once a year, would the board consider 20 twice a year to maintain faculty assignments? Because this way, how they could adjust it, I think, is by reducing part-time faculty instead of the full-time faculty. So that's just a thought that I like for the board to consider in your, decision.
Any comments from the board related to this?
Well, I would have a question, and I would like to hear from the school if this would work, what's going to make, I need it to be successful, so I need to know what's going to make it successful. So reducing it and voting on your measure is one way of doing it, but is that going to impact the program?
Well, I guess I need a clarification
Please.
because at the last meeting in August, on August 11th, I was told that we would have 20 twice. So we had a total, I remember Mr. Jackson said 40 students per year.
No.
I have it taped. No.
Public comment.
Yes, Geneviève Claverol. Actually, I did tape the meeting of last board, and it was 20 once a year. Actually, I watched it last night. I have a copy if you want to see it. The thing I am concerned with, and I have been looking in depth to that program, is that from the 2014, they still have 8 graduates who have not taken the test. That's a long, long time. And then they still have 10 graduates from 2015 who have not taken the test. But what concerned me the most, one of the reasons given by some of the students was because they were concerned about prior offense who had not been cleared up or so on. So I think maybe you need to look at that in more detail. And I'd be glad to give you the document that I have, who states that the reason they did not attempt to take the Nclex is because they didn't want to be ashamed of the prior offense they had had, and their record were not clear. So this came back on 2 different classes, the class of 2014 and 2015. So, and I met with the health deputy of Supervisor Solis yesterday, and I asked her for the letter, and they will work on it. But they are also as concerned as I am because of those issues.
Thank you.
Ingela Dahlgren, Director of Seiu Nurse Alliance of California, and I'm here to talk about the support that we as the Seiu Nurse Alliance of California are planning together with Ms. Gaines. We haven't met in person yet, but we are going to be meeting. We had a meeting with all the nurses at LA County, and many of the nurses at LA County have gone to this school. It's their nursing school. They felt strongly that the problems of not taking the Nclex in time could be fixed. There are single fathers, single mothers that don't have babysitters. We can help with that. We can help with tutoring for the Nclex. We can help with all these little issues that gets in between you and the Nclex. We can also help with having our newly graduated nursing, that doesn't include me, help the students with how to take an exam, for instance. I have seen people come in trying to take an Nclex exam without preparing themselves properly, going to the wrong place, coming late, being absolutely stressed out. All these things truly affects us when we take exams. We can also help them with study material. So, in short, I'm not going to talk forever. We are here to declare our support for the school and for the program, and we are planning to sit down with each other next week and see that we can put this on a piece of paper and actually map out the plan on how we are going to help them to correct the current trajectory.
Thank you.
It's very nice of you, and I'm sure that the school will appreciate the students as well. But as a board member and a member of that committee, I highly commend you for that effort. And you can come back and give us a progress report in about 3-4 months.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you.
Will that cost the students any money, or do they have to join the union, or what?
No. We are very gracious within the union. We give a lot of stuff away for free. No, seriously, as a nurse, I feel that one of my biggest obligations to the new nurses was to tuck them underneath my wing, protect them a little bit from all the horrors that we encounter in our daily lives, and help them become the nurses that they can. And that's part of my mission as the Director of Nursing, and we are going to continue to do that.
Bravo.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
I'd like to add.
Go ahead.
I'd like to add that I do think the SEIU Nurse Alliance, because they met with me and our students on the very first day of school, which was August 29th, and we've already got a plan in place. I've talked with Ms. Hughes, and we're set to meet very soon. And then we have another group that's reaching out to our students that's meeting on this Saturday. So everybody's involved in moving this process forward to help these students with all the challenges they face and to help faculty. So it's a shared obligation, and it's a moral obligation for us.
Thank you.
I have a question about the nurses who have done poorly in taking the Nclex. These students, they had a problem during the school, no? I mean, they had a problem with classes and taking exams during the time that they were in your school. Was there
Not
any?
necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Because I went,
There's no connection.
Yeah, there's a connection, but however, I went through those that did not, and I looked at the GPAs in the sciences, and I looked at the program performance, and I found that on average, the GPAs in the sciences are running anywhere from 3.1 to 3.7. Wow. And looking at the performance in the program, maybe 2 or 3 of those students were program failures, and then looking at the overall nursing GPA, the students are well within 2.7 to 3.7.
Interesting. Thank you.
So there was a request to amend our initial position on the 20 students twice a year instead of once a year. Any comments from the board?
No, I would like to support that. I mean, do you have a motion to that effect?
Well, let's hear from the board members.
Let me speak as a committee member and who made that motion the first time on the 20. Let me then amend what I suggested earlier in our committee meeting, so that we look at it again after the first cohort of 20. And we look at it again, we bring it back. We'll have the NECs to tell us when that should be looked at again.
Well, if I
And
can.
maybe we could increase the 20 to 30, or 10 more, and 10 and 10 and 10 and 10 as they grow, as we see the
increments.
results. We put them in increments, 10, 10, 10, and 10, and even gets up to 100.
Don't get carried away.
Doesn't matter, we will have to see what the pass rate is, as long as you have the facility, and we know you do have the facilities for the students. The overhead will kill you with small students and a small amount of students, so we need to, if the results of the testing comes back positive and continues to grow, then we'll increase it. That's my recommendation.
Please go ahead.
Just to offer clarification that I just clarified with Ms. Gaines is that their admission enrollment cycle occur in June and January. So if they were given permission for the twice a year, the Education Licensing Committee will still have opportunity to evaluate when they come back in March, but that way they could go ahead and keep their faculty, their core faculty group on and the resources in that and sort of plan on that. And then they would come back in March and be evaluated.
Perfect.
And that's the motion.
Yeah.
I withdraw my previous motion.
Thank you.
That would be the motion.
And I second that motion.
Thank you.
Well, no more public comment? Public comment on the motion that we just made.
Yes. I'm not so sure I approve of that, because those students have been taking makeup tests all along. They've been called every week to take the test. Those are students who have been and carry one day after another, and they're still failing. Is something else in that program which is not appropriate? I mean, what kind of nurse you want them to be? They cannot even, after taking the test, the markup from Kaplan and so on, they still cannot take it. They've been called every week. What quality of nurses are you trying to promote? That's all. I just hope you never have them take care of you.
Call for the question. Since there's no other public comment,
Trandy
Even on my
Phillips,
left.
yes?
Elizabeth Woods, yes.
Imelda Ceja Berkowitz, yes.
Ray Malal, yes.
Michael Jackson, yes.
Cindy Klein, yes.
Barbara Yaroslavsky, yes.
Pilar Dela Cruz Reyes, yes.
7.5.
Item 7.5, 2015 to 16 Education Licensing Committee Goals and Objectives Achievement Report. This report is made annually, and the report that is presented here for performance compared against the established goals and objectives is reported in your attachment. The Education Licensing Committee accepted this Goals and Objectives Achievement Report and is forwarding it to the board.
Is there a motion?
Make a motion to accept.
Thank you.
Any public comment? Call for the question beginning on my left.
Trandy Phillips, yes.
Elizabeth Woods, yes.
Imelda Ceja Berkowitz, yes.
Ray Malal, yes.
Michael Jackson, yes.
Cindy Klein, yes.
Barbara Yaroslavsky, yes.
Pilar Dela Cruz Reyes, yes.
7.6.
Item 7.6, SB 466, Education Regulations Rulemaking Process Update with vote on whether to continue rulemaking process, accept recommendations, and adopt related guideline. We had begun the rulemaking process to establish regulations to be operationalizing the education provisions of the SB 466 recently enacted legislation. So there has been the notice period, the public hearing period. We did receive 2 written inputs, and those are presented here in your packet. The attachments give you the actual letters that were submitted. And as was reported in Education Licensing Committee, staff recommendation is to reject both inputs for recommendations of any change to the draft proposed regulatory language because there's not a need for it to still leave the authority in the hands of the nursing programs to develop their policies and follow their procedures for methodologies to be applied to evaluation for equivalency credit or advanced placement in the program. So that's already provided for within the existing proposed regulatory language. And therefore, any change of the draft regulatory language will only delay completion of the process, which, as you know, we are required by the piece of legislation to adopt by January 1. So our progress now then is that this needs to complete the AOL. I do that. The OAL, as opposed to the webmail. Yes, the OAL review, and we will be timely if that process is derailed at this point. So what staff is asking, and Education Licensing Committee supported, is that we continue the rulemaking process, reject the recommendations for revision to proposed regulatory language, and adopt the related guideline.
So moved.
Wait, I just want to clarify and add something to that motion. Where it says reject the recommendations, it should actually be to adopt staff's proposed responses to the written comments received.
That would be the motion.
Okay. It
Now
will
you
be
can-
A second to the modified motion.
Public comment? Call for the question.
Trandy Phillips, yes.
Elizabeth Woods, yes.
Imelda Ceja Berkowitz, yes.
Ray Malal, yes.
Michael Jackson, yes.
Cindy Klein, yes.
Barbara Yaroslavsky, yes.
Pilar Dela Cruz Reyes, yes.
Thank you.
All right.
Item 7.7 is an information only. We wanted to provide information that's been received at the BRN regarding the issues with the United States Department of Education recognition of the Accrediting Council for Independent Colleges and Schools. We know that that's jeopardized recently. and there will be some possible action still to be determined. We do have 3 nursing programs, registered nursing programs in California that are affected. The American University of Health Sciences Baccalaureate Degree Nursing Program, the Brightwood College Associate Degree Nursing Program, the Shepherd University Associate Degree Nursing Program. And so we just want to make sure the board was completely informed with the progress of that, and also that the assigned nursing education consultants are staying on top of this, communicating with the potentially affected schools and ensuring that they're making provisions for alternatives if they so need to. Any questions on that?
No questions. Any comments from the public? No?
Item 7.8, Nclex update.
Good morning. My name is Katie Doherty. I'm one of the nursing education consultants in the Sacramento office of the board. This is an information-only item. What you have before you are the regular Nclex pass rate reports that we typically provide the board. The period that we're reporting on in the first table is for the July 1, 2015 through June 30, 2016. As you can see, in California, the number of first-time test takers was 11,167, with a pass rate of 86.92%. In the United States and its territories, for that same period of time, including California, there were a total of 161,156 first-time test takers with a pass rate of 83.94%. When I looked back at last year's pass rates for that same period of time for both California and the United States and territories, what I noted is that for California, we've increased our pass rate by 2.7% for that same period of time. And for the United States and its territories, the pass rate is up 1.4% for that same period of time. The next table down is really reporting on the most recent quarter of Nclex pass rates for California, and that's for the April 1 of 16 through the 6/30 period. We had 2,009 first-time test takers, and the pass rate for that group was 86.61%. When I compared that to the 14-15 quarterly rate, it was 86.31, so comparable at this time. As I have been also reporting, I looked at the 12-month comparison of other state boards with similar size numbers of first-time test takers. And so for the 12-month period, across all the state board jurisdictions, for those who had first-time test takers in the range of 8,728 to about 13,349, California remains the highest with the 86.92. It's followed by Texas, New York, and Ohio in terms of rates. Any questions about that particular report?
Nope, please continue.
Okay. Next is the distribution of pass rates by degree type. I think the report is self-explanatory. Are there any questions about that? And then the final report that's included is the longitudinal long-term trended report of national and Nclex pass rates for California over time, so that you can see that we're doing very well. Any questions about the data? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you, Katie.
Ready to move on? Item 7.9, licensing program update.
Good afternoon. Christina Sprague, Chief Licensing and Administrative Services.
So the licensing program evaluators are currently processing the initial review of exam apps received in the month of August and endorsement apps received the end of July. The board has processed spring graduation and received approximately 6,703 California applications and 5,335 California rosters. This basically resulted in staff, of course, touching applications more than once.
Could you define the terms as you're speaking, because I don't have a clue
Okay.
what you're talking about?
So a California roster is basically a document that is submitted by our California nursing programs prior to an applicant graduating or a student graduating from the program. They normally submit those anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks prior to graduation. And the board was using those documents to process the initial application of the applicants to make them eligible to exam fairly soon after they graduated, prior to us receiving their transcripts. Now, we cannot issue a license until we receive transcripts. So the roster process is something that we are looking at currently to determine whether or not it is a feasible process for us to continue with. Because with the rosters, it is causing staff to actually handle the applications more than once. Our goal is for staff to handle the applications one time when it's received, to process the transcripts, to make them eligible, to input all of the information into the BRIS system, which would then allow, once they've taken the exam, would allow that application or that applicant to automatically become licensed. We would not have to touch the application after that.
Okay, so slow down a second. So
Yes.
this means that students that are totally in compliance with their school requirements
Yes.
have done everything in order to be licensed other than the final clarification by the school or by the exam or by?
It is their final graduation, so the final completion of the program with the transcripts and degree posted on the transcripts.
So what's missing then at that point is the posting?
The degree posted on the transcript at that point.
So basically what you have is an in-progress transcript?
Correct.
That's not finalized?
Correct.
Apologies, but thank you.
That's okay. To assist students on the application process, the board licensing management team and the assistant executive officer continue to present an oversight regarding the application and eligibility process for California students. We did conduct a presentation yesterday to the 400 plus students that we had here. The licensing unit has also conducted an application evaluation training session for staff in various units of the board to help with our application processing. Staff was then given the opportunity to actually evaluate applications to completion during overtime, which we have been conducting for the last several months. On a temporary basis, the licensing unit has also received redirected staff from within the BRN office and also from within DCA to assist with processing of the initial applications. We currently have 4 staff from the Consumer Information Center that have gone through our training course for licensing and that are currently working at the board assisting us, as well as 5 additional staff from within the board's office that have been redirected to the licensing program to assist as well. Additionally, licensing management continues to assess our internal business processes to make the necessary changes to ensure the evaluation and licensure process is as streamlined as possible. That's pretty much on a daily basis. We look at the processes, we talk with staff, we're constantly trying to come up with a better way of doing things, which will benefit, of course, the applicants. Along with the continued assessment, we are working closely with the DCA BRIS team to incorporate changes into the system to more effectively allow us to process our applications. as we continue to improve our processes within licensing, we've begun to utilize, as one of those process improvements, we've begun to utilize the Cloud Drive, and you've heard about that presentation earlier today, to receive electronic transcripts for California programs. The board, we have successfully piloted that project with West Coast University, and Robin spoke earlier about their experience with it. That actually assisted us in the back office, board staff, to work out the process so that we can figure out what's the best way for us to receive those transcripts, to actually download them from the cloud, upload them into Breeze, and process them. And initially, the process we had outlined for staff, we ended up changing once we received the electronic transcripts, because we found that it would be an easier transition for us to make these few tweaks. So it did help us to actually make changes to our internal processes. So we are also, in addition, we are reaching out to other programs within California to continue piloting to ensure that our internal business process are intact before we move forward with implementing the Cloud Drive to all of the California programs, which we do plan to present to all of the directors at the October meeting, Deans and Directors meeting. The pilot process has assisted licensing management to prepare our internal processing procedures for staff and to streamline the implementation instructions for the California programs so that the transition from paper to electronic transcripts is smooth. We did have staff process these transcripts, and their feedback was very vital. It was very helpful to us so that we can be able to better assist the California programs when they're uploading their transcripts and submitting them to the board. We are currently actively recruiting for 6 positions within the licensing unit, 1 full-time program technician, 2 for our PHN evaluator position, 4 limited-term program technician, 2 US evaluator positions, and 1 limited-term program technician for our technical support unit. These positions will be dedicated to ensure that the processing timeframes are maintained within our statutory timeframes, and we expect to have these positions filled by the end of October.
Filled and trained, or just filled?
We filled by the end of October.
Filled and trained by when?
Filled by the end of October, trained by mid to end October.
So having 6 vacancies is impeding your ability to get your job done, is that correct?
Correct.
And what is impeding the hiring of the 6 people?
The state hiring
October?
process. The state hiring process is very complex.
Oh, I understand that very well.
Yes. The manager is actually interviewing today.
I just want to suggest that what we've all heard today and what we've all heard in the news impacts the state of California and the ability for the workforce to do their job. And there are times that people's feet have to be held to the fire. So as far as the state hiring process goes, holding feet to the fire is important.
We have been, yes.
All right.
So statistics, the board, Jason earlier spoke regarding the QBERT reporting tool, and so far the licensing unit loves the QBERT reporting tool because we are able to pull the data out of the system, and we're able to report some of that data to you today. We have also, the department has also paid for 2 staff from the board to attend some more advanced training within the QBERT reporting system. So we had an individual from our licensing, a staff member from our licensing unit attend a couple of weeks ago. And this week we have one of our licensing statistical and staff member attending that training this week. So our statistics are reported below. We've provided you the applications received for 3 fiscal years. Our current fiscal year statistics, total applications of exams, endorsements, repeat, and advanced practice is over 45,352, with over 16,000 of those being exam and 15,000 of those being endorsement applications. Are there any questions?
Did you say that it's almost 50% endorsement?
15,000
Again?
of those are endorsement and 16,000 are exams.
48%.
Yes.
Okay.
Christine, I have a question. Change is always difficult. How is the staff doing with, getting cross-trained and making the changes? And are they excited about what they see?
Staff are very positive about the changes that are being made. They are very well aware of the situation that we have been in, and they knew change was coming. The staff that have been cross-trained were volunteers. They were very eager to learn the process. I think that they feel as well as I do that it not only helps them in their day-to-day functions, whether they're in the enforcement unit, licensing unit, the call center, it helps their day-to-day functionality to understand processes in other units as well as their own specific job. So they're very excited about the change. We were a little concerned about the electronic transcripts and how they would react to not having that piece of paper to look at any longer. And they actually were very receptive to it once we provided, them with the test pilot school. And we got positive feedback from them and suggestions for us to improve our internal process. So it was a very positive response from staff.
Thanks.
If I could piggyback on what she's commented on, we also recently implemented a internal staff satisfaction survey because we know that change is sometimes difficult, and overwhelmingly the staff were able to comment in an anonymous way with the help of Solid and DCA. This survey that was sent out to all the staff, and more than 90%, 95% of the staff said they were happy to be working at the BRN, and they were happy with the changes that are being made. Sure, there's things that we can always improve on. Again, this survey provided staff the ability to comment on some of the changes and some of the expectations. So, for the record, I really want to commend the staff just coming together and just being able to adjust to some of the recent changes and the positive outlook on the direction that we're going. So thank you, Christina, and you. Thank you.
I do have a question. I do have a question over something. When you get the transcripts from the various schools, are those transcripts accepted on face value because the person has gone to a recognized school and have taken certain courses? Because there was an issue that arose this morning by one of the participants in the audience here who had said that there was an issue over a class that was questioned by the board from a transcript. And because of that, they were not allowed to take the exam, or I don't recall what exactly happened. But could you explain a little bit more about that?
So for our California programs, it's a little easier because our California programs are approved by the board. They go through a rigorous approval process, and we have all of that documentation within our licensing unit to be able to validate that particular coursework. So those particular areas are a little easier to evaluate than transcripts from another state. Transcripts from another state, we have to look at to see that they did complete a nursing program within that state. And we have to take a look at their prerequisites to ensure that their prerequisites meet the California educational requirements. So there are sometimes issues with prerequisites not being included on transcripts, so we have to question them. Or if courses are named differently in other states, so we may not be able to identify specifically where that coursework, into which class that coursework was completed. So we do sometimes have to question the coursework. It may not necessarily be that they didn't complete the course, it just may be that we're not able to locate it on the transcript because it is, completed under a different name or wrapped into another course. A lot of their courses are like nursing 1, nursing 2, nursing. So it's very difficult for us to figure out what is included in nursing 1.
So how's that followed up on then?
We actually, we use of course, the different schools' websites to try to verify information. We do have curriculum information directly from the schools that we reference. And then if that curriculum information is out of date, then we do have to contact the school directly or contact the applicant to provide additional clarification.
Is there cases where somebody would be denied a license because of that, or you get enough information eventually to locate?
Normally, we do receive enough information, clarification from the individuals to approve their application. We don't deny applications in the licensing unit. They may be made ineligible if they're deficient in a particular course. That doesn't mean that they're denied. That just means they need to complete some coursework, and once they've completed that, they can come back and we'll continue processing. So they may become deficient, I'm sorry, not ineligible, deficient in a particular area.
Thank you.
So I have a question right before you leave. Before you leave, I have a question. I want to thank you very much, and thank staff as well. I mean, especially for trying to inform me so I can get up to speed. But now that I'm trying to get up to speed, let me ask you a couple more questions. Is the space between having things happen in a timely fashion due to staffing weaknesses or systems that people haven't applied and given you all the information system? What is the whole? And if it's a situation that it's a staffing issue, does this board need to justify some kind of expenditure of overtime?
So it is a combination of things. It's actually a combination of what you've listed. So yes, there are situations where applicants are deficient in areas, they haven't provided documentation, or the documentation provided isn't, complete. And yes, it is staffing. And we have actually, Dr. Morris has authorized overtime for staff, and staff have been working overtime for several months now. So yes, and we are working on the staffing issue, and like I said, we're trying to hire those additional positions so that we have them on board and trained before the next grad season comes forward.
So one more question. Are these holes in the system of becoming licensed from California school-based students or from out-of-state school-based students?
Mainly it's out of state.
Okay, so that makes it more difficult, okay. Thank you.
So in summary, so that we're clear about, this all hands on deck process that we have taken. We have cross-trained staff from, throughout the board. We are adjusting the flex time and also implementing the 8 to 5 business practices. Okay? And
I don't think the public understands what he means by 8 to 5 business practices.
Meaning that, the normal, state operating time from,
What Dr. Morris means is there were some people that worked 4 days a week, 9-hour shifts.
10 hours.
We've gone from working 4 days a week.
10.
or
4/10.
4/10
So we've gone back to the 5 days a week.
5 days a week. So we're implementing, so we're looking at, schedules, and also the additional support from the Department of Consumer Affairs, and lastly, implementing the cloud process.
So I want to thank you, Dr. Morris.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have the statistics. The last time we met in March, we heard that in the last committee meeting, we heard that our backlog was improving now. Could you give us just a little idea about our backlog and like?
So we're currently processing exam applications that we received at the beginning of August, and we're processing endorsement applications that were received at the end of July, and advanced practice applications received at the end of June. So we're within our statutory 90 days of completing an initial evaluation. What we've done was initially we redirected all of our services to process our exam applications to get us up to date with our exam applications. And then we redirected staff to our endorsement applications, which is where they're at now. We've redirected staff to assist in our advanced practice unit so that we can get those applications processed a little quicker now. And then we've, we only have a limited number of staff. So we have to kind of continually redirect them on a daily basis based on where the need is. So, with any application, if there is a deficiency, we send out a letter. There's a new mail that comes in, that application has to be touched again, looked at again to review that new information that has come in. So,
It's
yes.
always a nuance, but the process now, the standard process is around 6 to 7 weeks, is what you're saying now. We're processing something that came in August 1st.
Correct.
Or July 30, 28th.
Correct.
We're now in that process now. And what happens to a person like that? When do they get out of the process?
When will they get out of the process? Well,
When will the process be finished so they can go on?
Oh, well, hopefully within, we say we are trying to keep our processing times within that 6 to 8 week window. But as we improve and make changes to the internal process, especially with like electronic transcripts, et cetera, we're hoping that time frame will, get even less. But at this point, we're about 6 to 8 weeks. And then as long as our help staff is going to continue to stay with us for a little while, we will be able to maintain that.
You mean our extra staff? The extra staff?
Yes.
Okay, so before you walk away, am I interrupting you? So before you walk away, within the system, nurses go to school, they graduate school, and they need to have a job. They also change jobs. They come from out of state, they're coming to a new job. But there's a cycle, I would assume, in the state of California by which new nurses need to be in the workplace and they need to have graduated school. So within that system, is there one in which, like, July 1st, all new nurses have to be licensed in order to start work for the academic, for the year versus, is there a way of breaking this down by only doing specific kinds of tasks to make it more efficient and effective for the institutions that are hiring staff?
And we do try to do that. So yes and no. I mean, it was, way back in the day, it was a lot easier because you had 2 graduating periods. Now you have classes graduating all year long, all the time. So we call our big graduation seasons our basically our winter and our fall and our spring graduations. Those are our biggest graduations because that's when all of the CSUs graduate in those 2 areas. But your private universities are graduating throughout the year. We do, during those 2 big graduating periods, try to redirect staff to specifically process exam applications. The problem with that, though, is you are processing exam applications, yet your applications for all of these other areas are going into a backlog
You have to
status.
you have to do all the
Yes.
work all the time versus any specific time frame.
Yes.
So within that specific time frame, is there a way to utilize the staff in the institutions so that if you were to go out, instead of having your staff in Sacramento, if you were to go to CSU or to the community colleges or to the regions and to do licensing off-site with not total license, but make sure everything's there, the exams, the fingerprints, everything is there, would that make a difference into your time frame?
I don't believe so. The schools are actually very good. The California schools are usually very good with ensuring that the applications are submitted, that the transcripts have been completed, that, the students are doing what they need to do to get it to the point where all the school needs to do is submit the transcripts.
Within the Breeze system, is there a way that the person that's filling out the application for licensure, that the application doesn't continue if there's any information missing?
Basically, it doesn't, yes, there are stop gaps within the system where if they haven't completed some information, it will not continue. But it's also not submitted until a payment is received. So
But a
they
payment
must
received with
submit.
an incomplete application doesn't do you any good. A payment.
Right,
Okay,
right.
you need
No,
everything.
Correct, correct. So usually when an online application is submitted, it's usually a complete application. The problem isn't the application being incomplete. It's normally the processing of the rosters and the transcripts. That's where we kind of come into a.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand the system. Thank you.
One more point, Christina, because this was brought up when we had that auditor. Our call center is under the licensing department, is that correct? The one the calls get to the board, your department handles those calls too?
It's within the renewals unit, yes.
So when there's nobody taking calls, it's because your other staff is busy doing other things?
No, we always have staff working in the call center. Our call center has been understaffed for a number of years.
Okay.
We have also hired temporary staff to work within our call center. So our call center is, pretty much fully staffed at this point. I believe we have, give me 1 second here. We've just hired some additional staff in there, so.
Okay. No. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
We have about, I believe, 14 or 15 staff in the call center right now.
And that's Monday to Friday?
Monday through Friday. And
Now-
then we have one individual that works our public counter.
Okay,
every day.
where they will drive up and talk to a live person, right?
Yes.
So in the past, it was shared in this many board meetings ago that the actual phone system can only hold so many calls, and are we still on that same system?
It's the same system, and basically the way that the system works, the functions, is the number of calls that can go into the system is based on the number of individuals that you have logged into the system. I mean, we can open the floodgates and we can have, 40,000 phone calls into that system, but 40,000 phone calls are not going to be answered on a monthly basis. If you don't have the number of staff available to answer those 40,000 phone calls. And I say 40,000, I hear people giggling, but the true number is actually 50,000 calls that we receive on a monthly basis.
Well, we need to know this information because we get complaints as board members that they don't even answer the phone or we can't leave a message.
Yes.
So it's very important to know that the system itself is overloaded,
Correct. Well, the system isn't overloaded. We don't have the number of staff to put on the phones to physically take the calls. I mean, we're not going to have you sitting on hold for 3 hours and to eventually be cut off.
So they can also leave a message if nobody picks up the phone, right?
No.
That we don't
No.
have that option.
No, we don't want that.
So what is the time return between a person calling in and their question being answered? Do you have a
Well,
time frame?
it varies.
It varies.
It varies.
Well, listen, let me
This is staff
let
issue.
me support her as well. Again, as we continue to refine some of these processes and implement some of this updated, process, is the hope that some of these calls will be alleviated.
Yes.
So give us a little time to work this out, right? And we hope that less calls come in regarding the licensing times and so forth.
Dr. Morris, if I could make a suggestion.
Yes, ma'am.
Some of the agencies that, I don't know, the phone companies or whatever, will have a system where you can leave a message and leave a phone number to be called back. So I'm wondering if that can.
Well,
that can be looked at.
thank you. We can explore that, but the cost, okay, thank you for that.
Well, hopefully when we get our fee increases approved and we actually get a fee increase, we can look at this. Because I know it's a major.
Just like, the feature is actually available
Would you like to
within
pay
our phone
licensing
system.
fees?
We just don't have the staff currently
Yeah.
to implement that
Would you like to
feature.
pay-
We've actually already looked into it, yes.
Licensing fees like Southwest Airlines adjust their fees for license renewals.
Stop whining about it.
No.
So again, I really think that we're doing a great job. We're moving in the right direction. So again, give us a little time to evaluate the process, and if we need to reassess our business practices, we would do that accordingly.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Christine.
Yeah, I've only been on the job for 2 months.
Yeah. Christina, thank you and your staff for
Thank you. Thank you again. Excellent job. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Are there any public comments? One public comment. Please come up.
Thank you. So my question is this: if we staffed our hospitals the same way that you guys staff your department, it's kind of pretty scary. This has been happening now for a couple of years, and it's only gotten worse for our applicants. And I want to understand why we haven't forecast the needs and been prepared for this summer program. And I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, you talk about the California schools, I appreciate that, but we also have California residents who go to school outside of the state of California who have to wait lengthy times to get the ability to take their ATT to test or to get endorsements from other states. And I think we have to be proactive. When you talk about Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 now, I want to know why we're not doing Monday through Sunday, 24 hours until we get everybody up to speed. I think we owe it to these students and all of these people. We can't get travelers into the state of California because they can't get endorsements for their licenses. So I just feel like we're not doing enough right now. I appreciate, Dr. Morris, everything that you're doing and try to making changes for the BRN, but I also think we need to put this into emergency gear and do everything that we can to get these students and any nurse that needs to be licensed into the state of California, because we are not doing our patients a service right now. And we're doing enough service for the hospital, and we're turning away great people because of the frustration that they're getting at the board. So those are my comments. Thank you. It's been a pretty interesting day, and I'm glad I was able to come.
Moving right along. Item 8.0. Report on the Legislative Committee. We'll turn it over to Board Member Seiu Buckowitz.
Good afternoon. We're going to discuss bills of interest to the board and adopt or modify positions on bills introduced during 2015-2016 legislative session.
So they haven't modified it yet, have they? Because they haven't modified it. We're seeing them along there.
We're going to start with AB 840.
Good afternoon. My name is Kay Winecombe. I'm a nursing education consultant and the legislative liaison to the Legislative Committee for the board. This has been an interesting session in the sense that for the 2015-2016 legislative session, the Assembly introduced 2,915 bills and the Senate introduced 1,481. Now, those bills have to get through not only their policy committees, but if appropriate, the fiscal committees before moving to the opposite house and then getting out of those committees and off the floor by August 31st. Then from that point on, the bills go to the governor, and the governor has until September 30th to either veto or sign the legislation. So the bills that we have, the attached table that's in your packet, was prepared in advance of this meeting. So as we go along today, I will give you an update as to the status of the particular bills. So most of these bills were considered at the August Legislative Committee meeting. And we'll start again with Assembly Bill 1306. Now this, or I'm sorry, Assembly Bill 840.
Yeah.
Assembly Bill 840 is Assembly Member Ridley Thomas's bill related to nurses and certified nursing assistants overtime. It is currently with the governor, and it had been amended on August 18th so that it changed the wording from certified nurse assistants to certified nursing assistants. The bill, beginning January 1st of 2019, would prohibit a nurse or certified nursing assistant as defined employed by the state of California in a specified type of facility from being compelled to work in excess of the regularly scheduled work week or work shift except under certain circumstances.
This bill would require such a facility to establish an 8-member joint labor management task force with membership as prescribed to meet quarterly to develop specific recommendations and a plan to reduce or eliminate mandatory overtime. The bill would require a task force on or before November 1st, 2018, to prepare and submit to the legislature a report on its recommendations. Those task force and report provisions would be repealed on January 1st of 2019. So previously, the board had considered this bill back in 2015 and had taken a support position, but it wasn't previously considered by the legislative committee. So I would like to make a recommendation to support AB 840.
I second it. Any public comment? No public comment?
Trandy Phillips, yes?
Elizabeth Woods, yes. Imelda Seja Batquitz, yes.
Ray Malal, yes.
Michael Jackson, yes.
Cindy Klein, yes.
Barbara Yaroslavsky, yes.
Pilar Dela Cruz Reyes, yes.
Moving along to AB 1306. Although a request isn't for the board to take a position on the bill, this is an information, excuse me, so sorry. This is information only because of the significance of this bill. So this is Assemblymember Burke's bill, Healing Arts Certified Nurse Midwives Scope of Practice. And its status is that because there were amendments made in the Senate, the bill was returned to the Assembly, and the Assembly did not concur in those amendments. But I did want you to have the most recent amended versions just for your information.
Can I?
Okay.
I want to ask a question about this bill right here. The portion in the bill where they mention being able to participate in disciplinary processes,
Was that amended?
was that amended?
I don't believe so.
Have we sent a letter to the author of the bill and the supporters of this bill, sponsors of the bill, right?
I wasn't here in 2015, but because the board took a support position in 2015, I can just assume that a letter was sent.
Yeah, Stacy, regarding 1306, the letter, did we send a letter? Yes. And did we get a response?
So is the bill dead or the bill is alive?
It's a 2-year sale. The bill is dead.
Oh, the bill is dead. I don't.
So the bill's dead?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's not beat a dead horse.
I don't understand what's that.
Okay.
That was my point.
You could have just said the bill is dead.
Yeah, because we didn't get that
Yeah,
from.
I
No, she
just
said
thought
they didn't
because it
concur.
dealt
They
with.
said
So that
we
was for
didn't
information
concur
only.
On the amendments, and she said it was for
Well, as
informational
as
only.
the amended version.
Okay.
And so.
The bill is dead.
Okay,
we
so
didn't know the
moving
bill was
on.
dead.
Along
Move
to
on.
AB 1386. Okay, Assembly Bill 1386 is Assemblymember Lowe's bill related to emergency medical care epinephrine auto-injectors. And it was amended after the last board meeting, and in fact, it was amended twice so that the existing law requires school districts, county offices of education, and charter schools to provide emergency epinephrine auto-injectors as defined to school nurses and trained personnel who have volunteered to use epinephrine auto-injectors under emergency circumstances, and authorize the school nurses and trained personnel to use the auto-injectors to provide emergency medical aid to persons suffering from an anaphylactic reaction. The bill was amended to define the term epinephrine auto-injector for purposes of these provisions and other related provisions that authorize the use of epinephrine auto-injectors as specified. The bill would provide that an authorized entity is not liable for any civil damages resulting from any act or omission connected to the administration of an epinephrine auto-injector as specified. It would also exempt a physician and surgeon from certain sanctions for the issuance of these auto-injectors under these provisions. Then it was later amended in June to read that the bill would provide that a pharmacy may furnish epinephrine autoinjectors to an authorized entity for the purpose of rendering emergency care, and that an authorized healthcare provider shall provide a new prescription for any additional epinephrine autoinjectors that are required for use. And this bill is currently on the governor's desk. The previous position was a watch position. I make a recommendation to continue watching as it continues to change. So my recommendation is to continue watching. For watch. Do I have
If it's on the governor's
There's
desk,
desk.
you don't have anything, this is more for information, we don't have.
It's
that.
not, well, with these, if we continue our positions, we could then send a letter to the governor's office with
Right,
our
it's sitting-
support.
it's sitting there. So are you asking for changes in what we
No,
have here?
just
No.
continue to watch.
But that's what we have.
I second the continue to watch. Any public comment?
Okay, Randy, yes?
Elizabeth Woods, yes.
Imelda Seha Butkowitz, yes.
Ray Malal, yes.
Michael Jackson, yes?
Cindy Klein, yes.
Barbara Yaroslavsky, yes.
Florida Cruz Reyes, yes.
All right. Next one.
Moving on. AB 1748. This is Assemblymember May's bill related to pupils, pupil health, opioid antagonists. It again is with the governor's office. It was last amended on August 1st, and that amendment deletes the State Department of Public Health from and adds the California Society of Addiction Medicine to the list of organizations with which the superintendent would consult every 5 years regarding the minimum standards of training. The bill would include in these minimum standards that the required call to 911 would not also require the pupil to be transported to an emergency room, because that provision was in the previous bill. So the board's position in the past was a watch position. I make a recommendation to continue watching this bill.
I second it.
You know, I haven't, is there any public comments? Any comments from the board on any of the bills that have already been discussed? Seeing none?
Randy Phillips, yes?
Elizabeth Woods, yes.
Imelda Seha Butkowitz, yes.
Ray Malal, yes.
Michael Jackson, yes?
Cindy Klein, yes.
Barbara Yaroslavsky, yes.
Florida Cruz Reyes, yes.
Okay, moving along to AB 2105. This bill is Assemblymember Rodriguez's bill related to workforce development, allied health professions. And it was last amended on August 10th. And that bill would add the Division of Apprenticeship Standards and representatives appointed by the Board of Governors from the California Community College System as parties to include in the stakeholder process. And with this particular bill, it hadn't been, or rather, the board had taken a watch position, on this bill.
Where's the bill now?
The bill is currently with the governor. I'm going to make a recommendation to continue watching, AB 2105.
Second it. Public comment? Call for the question?
Randy Phillips, yes?
Elizabeth Woods, yes.
Imelda Seha Butkowitz, yes.
Ray Malal, yes.
Michael Jackson, yes?
Cindy Klein, yes.
Barbara Yaroslavsky, yes.
Florida Cruz Reyes, yes.
Okay, moving along to AB 2272. This bill is Assemblymember Thurman's bill related to occupational safety and health standards, plume. And it was last amended on August 15th and is with the governor. That amendment on the 15th provides that under existing law, the Division of Occupational Safety and Health is required to enforce all occupational safety and health standards as specified. This bill would now, by June 1st, 2017, require the division to convene an advisory committee to develop a regulation that requires a health facility to evacuate or remove plume through the use of a plume scavenging system in all settings that employ techniques that involve the creation of plume, and would authorize certain entities and people to be on the advisory committee, including practicing physicians and surgeons from affected specialties. The bill would require the division in developing the regulation to do certain things, including evaluating the use of certain standards adopted by specified organizations as a benchmark. The bill would also require the division, when developing the proposed regulation, to take into consideration recommendations on the evacuation of plume from the Federal Occupational Safety and Health Administration or the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health. The bill would, by June 1st of 2018, require the division to submit to the board the proposed regulation, and then by July 1st, 2019, require the board to adopt the proposed regulation. The bill would delete the provisions for the board to include a requirement related to employer-related training. The bill would provide that the use of respirators does not satisfy the requirements for protection from surgical plumes under these provisions, except as specified. The bill would specify that these provisions do not limit the authority of the division to develop or limit the authority of the board to adopt a regulation with a broader scope or broader application than required by these provisions. And the recommendation from the Legislative Committee in August was to support.
I move that we support.
I'll second that.
Any public comment? Seeing no public comment, I call for the question.
Trandy Phillips, yes.
Elizabeth Woods, yes.
Imelda Seha Butkwitz, yes.
Raymond, yes.
Michael Jackson, yes.
Cindy Klein, yes.
Barbara Yaroslavsky, yes.
Laura Dela Cruz Reyes, yes.
Moving along to AB 2744.
I could be Michael Jackson.
This bill is basically for information only today because the governor did sign the bill.
Okay.
It is Assemblymember Gordon's bill related to healing arts and referrals. And this was the bill where we required that referrals for discounts through third-party things like internet platforms would not be considered referrals by a physician. So that was basically the foundation for that.
Thank you, Kay.
welcome.
Moving along to AB 2859.
This bill is Assemblymember Lowe's bill related to professions and vocations retired category licenses. And it was amended on August 3rd, and again, it's with the governor. The bill as amended would require that a board that will now provide this category of licensure shall establish an appropriate application fee for a retired license to cover the reasonable regulatory cost of issuing a retired license. And the board's position in the past was to watch.
I make a recommendation that we continue watching.
Second it. Public comment? Nobody retiring out there in the
Call for the question starting to the left.
Trandy Phillips, yes.
Elizabeth Woods, yes.
Imelda Seha Butkwitz, yes.
Raymond, yes.
Michael Jackson, yes.
Cindy Klein, yes.
Barbara Yaroslavsky, yes.
Okay. We're moving along to Senate bills. Senate Bill SB 482.
Okay. Senate Bill 482 is Senator Lara's bill related to controlled substances, the Cures database. And the bill is with the governor. It was last amended on August 19th. And it has a fairly lengthy description of very technical things in terms of timing as to when a new prescription has to be, or rather a prescription can be refilled after the original one was given and such items. If you'd like, I could go ahead and read the technical things for it.
Hasn't it been enrolled?
It's with the governor.
Hasn't it been signed?
Not yet. No, I keep watching for that, but.
I'm good. Does anybody else want her to continue reading?
Oh, I'm sorry. Our position on that was to support.
Right. And so I make a recommendation to support, continue supporting.
Second it. Public comment? Call for the question.
Trandy Phillips, yes.
Elizabeth Woods, yes.
Imelda Seha Butkwitz, yes.
Raymond, yes.
Michael Jackson, yes.
Cindy Klein, yes.
Barbara Yaroslavsky, yes.
Okay, moving along to SB 1039.
This bill is Senator Hill's bill related to professions and vocations. It's with the governor, and it was last amended on August 25th. And the bill deletes amending code sections related to furnishing by certified nurse midwives. In the past, the board's position has been to support this bill.
And I would make a recommendation, we continue supporting this bill.
I second it. Public comment? Call for the question.
Randy Phillips, yes.
Elizabeth Woods, yes.
Imelda Seha Butkwitz, yes.
Ray Millet.
Michael Jackson, yes.
Cindy Klein, yes.
Barbara Yarostovsky, yes.
Okay, moving along, SB 1076.
Senate Bill 1076 is Senator Hernandez's bill related to general acute care hospitals observation services. It is on the governor's desk, and it was last amended on August 18th. The bill would now require that the Office of Statewide Planning and Development compile and publish summaries of individual facility and aggregate data that do not contain patient-specific information for the purpose of public disclosure. Upon request, these shall include summaries of observation services data in a format prescribed by that office. And the previous position by the board has been a watch.
My recommendation is to continue watching.
Second.
No. Discussion?
Discussion now.
I make a recommendation that we support this bill.
It's
This is for observation units.
it's at the governor's office.
What's been up?
Well, we've, what-
What is the committee
well, we watched it on 6/16, 16, and it was just recently amended, 8/18.
Right, that was after the legislative committee meeting.
Right.
So we could change our position if we wanted to, based on the fact it's been
Right.
amended.
Who seconded it?
I second it, so I'd be willing to withdraw that or take a friendly amendment to change.
I make a recommendation we support.
What is the change that's been amended? What is the change since what's the amendment?
Wait. So, Michael, do you have a?
Oh, it just.
Did you motion to support?
I did, just now.
Did you
Yeah.
have
No,
a
she
second?
said-
He has a second to support.
Okay, so discussion, right?
Exactly.
She's asking about the
The
change.
change was it added the words in italics in a format prescribed by the office. So it was amending some previous language that was in the bill. And then on August 1st, the bill requires that the Office of Statewide Health Planning include summaries of observation services data upon request in the data summaries maintained by OSHPD under the Act. And then this new amendment just says that it needs to be in a format prescribed by the office.
So basically, this is like having a patient hang out in limbo.
No,
Yes.
this is about having OSHPD make a report.
No, I'm talking about observation units.
Yeah, but this is, all this is doing is.
Right, the amendments are
OSHPD
related
having
Just the
to,
a-
amendment.
yeah.
I have a first and a second.
Yep.
Any public comment?
Randy Phillips, yes.
Elizabeth Woods, yes.
Imelda Seha Butkwitz, no.
Michael Jackson, yes. Sorry.
Ray Millet, yes.
Cindy Klein, yes.
Barbara Yarostovsky, I'll vote to abstain. I mean, I just don't know what the changes are that make it relevant to.
Are we missing someone?
If you need a vote, I'll vote to adopt.
Oh,
You need a
sorry.
vote?
No.
You have a number?
That's it, right?
That's good.
The motion
Okay.
passes?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, moving
We're
on.
moving along to SB 1139.
I'm sorry, with that, Barbara, were you still abstaining?
No,
With
vote
that
to support is fine.
support, thank you. Okay. Senate Bill 1139 is Senator Lara's bill related to health professionals, medical school programs, healing arts residency training programs, undocumented immigrants, non-immigrant aliens, scholarships, loans, and loan repayments. I think I mentioned at one of our meetings, that's the longest summary title that I've ever seen with all those colons in it. This bill is with the governor. It was last amended on August 15th. But it had been amended on August 1st. It was considered by the legislative committee that did give a continuation of the board's watch position.
Then on the 15th, the bill, the only significant change was that the bill would change some language related to the Medical Practice Act. It really didn't involve anything about the nursing scholarship provisions.
I make a recommendation to continue watching this bill.
I second.
Public comment? Call for the question.
Randy Phillips, yes.
Elizabeth Woods, yes.
Imelda Seja Batgos, yes.
Ray Millet, yes.
Michael Jackson, yes.
Cindy Klein, yes.
Barbara Yaroslavsky, yes.
Okay, we have two more bills, SB 1194 and SB 1195. Those are going to be informational only.
Yes, and they're on the agenda today just because of the significance of these bills to the board. Senate Bill 1195 is the bill that the board had been considering up until August, and the board had taken an opposed position to the bill. Then that bill was housed in the Senate's inactive file, but toward the end of the session, its contents got moved into Senate Bill 1194. So it's Senate Bill 1194, which was interesting because that was the sunrise bill for the psychology board. And what happened with the psychology board's sunset provisions, that got moved into Senate Bill 1193. So this whole process is really very interesting. But this is for information only, so that you have a content looking at how, what language may have stayed the same between 1194 and 1195, but it's really moot because both bills are dead. But just for your information.
That is good.
Yeah.
One more?
Is that it?
No, just one more for your information. In your packet, I included Senate Bill 1348 because it was chaptered, and I wanted you all to have a complete set of bills as they become chaptered, so you have that official information.
We're also going to talk about SB 1217.
That bill is dead because, at the bottom, the 1217 and 1334 failed, so we're not going to discuss
Okay,
that.
thank you.
And 1348
Well,
is
don't
just
discuss it.
information
Okay.
only for
Okay.
us.
The bill is dead.
And thank you, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Kay.
Thank you, Kay.
Thank you, Kay.
You're welcome.
Thanks for coming back and helping us.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure. Most of the time.
Most of the time?
Today. Definitely today is a pleasure.
Good morning. Let's go.
Welcome.
Oh, afternoon, it's 1 o'clock.
Thank you very much, and thank you for being patient with us today. Item 9.0, we'll turn it over to the chair.
Thank you. Intervention and Discipline Committee. Ladies and gentlemen, go ahead. Let's start.
Shannon Silberling. I'm the Chief of Investigations and Complaint Intake. I'll start with the update on complaint intake. Staffing, as of September 2nd, our office technicians, we have one office technician vacancy. She's laterally moved to the discipline unit as of August 2016. We've scheduled interviews on 9/6. We actually just did another round of interviews today and have some very good prospects. So we hope to be filling that position probably in reality beginning of October.
Okay.
We have one OT that is out on leave until April 2017. We are currently trying to fill that with a limited term position. We have one limited term OT that is promoting to another board within DCA, and his last day is going to be this Friday. And this was a limited term position that was set to expire the beginning of October. We have our staff services analysts are fully staffed, And we have one Associate Governmental Program Analyst, AGPA, that is out on leave, but she will be returning October 3rd. So we're very thankful to have all of our analysts back in position. So effective July 1st, 2016, all the California licensed furnishing prescribing practitioners were required to be registered in the Cures 2.0, and we're currently working on processes to ensure the compliance with this requirement. All the furnishing RNs can find information and helpful links regarding Cures 2.0 on our website and under What's New if they go to our website. We continue to work with the State Auditor's Office to provide reports and information as they request them.
I'm not sure what you said.
Would you like me to repeat that? Under the complaint intake unit is also our expert witness analyst desk. And we currently have 195 active experts across California. We continue to try and recruit RNs for our expert witness in all areas of expertise. We currently are in high demand for RNs with backgrounds in laser, Botox, anesthetists, midwives, and also nurse practitioners. They are also, they could go to our website. If they go to the enforcement tab, if they're interested, they can look up what the criteria is to become an expert and fill out an application that is provided online. The fiscal year statistics was asked to be provided. So for complaint intake, the last 5 years I did provide. I don't know if you necessarily want me to go over them or if you have any questions on them.
Board members?
See,
It's
Okay.
very,
As of September 2nd, we have received 1,526 complaints for this current fiscal year, and there are 1,148 pending complaints. 1,061 are actually in complaint intake, meaning the remainder of those have been opened either in discipline, probation, so forth.
okay.
We have, out of those, 599 are applicants, 549 were licensee complaints, which were combined to have 433 convictions, and 43 of those were a high urgent basis. 134 were over a year old, and of those 134, 44 were applicants.
Why so? Why are they aging over a year?
Well, applicants, once they come over to enforcement, we send them a letter. And the letter states that they have what information we need to go ahead and move their case along. If they don't provide that information, currently they have a year to supply it.
Oh, okay.
So if they don't respond within that year, then we go ahead and abandon their file after a year.
Got it. Thank you.
Mhm. Okay, so that's it for complaint intake. Any questions with complaint intake? No?
Wait,
Yes.
I have questions.
Mhm.
Of the complaints that are intake and completed, has there ever been a study or you look at as to where those people graduated from? Were they from California schools, from out-of-the-country schools, or U.S. schools?
Before, I don't think we really had the mechanism in place to be able to do that tracking. With Breeze, we may be able to start doing that, so that's something we can look into.
I'm just wondering if it would be anything that we should be aware of.
I've asked this question before.
Yeah.
But with
Oh,
Qbert
I
now, we
didn't
probably can run some reports?
Well, depending on what data is captured. If the data is captured within Breeze, we could probably run a report on it, so it's something we can look into.
Can you look into that?
Yes.
Thank you.
Work collaboratively with our research team.
And yes, we do love Qbert. So moving on to investigations. We just filled our limited term office technician position. It's a 24-month position, which is nice, so we have them for at least 2 years. And that makes us fully staffed for our support staff and our field investigators, both northern and southern. And we've remained fully staffed with our field investigators for some time now, which is nice. It's been able to make us very consistent with our investigations. The Division of Investigation has currently updated the department's Consumer Protection Enforcement Initiative, case acceptance guidelines as of August 25th, 2016. That was supplied to all of the complaint intake staff for utilization moving forward with complaints. As of September 6th, 2016, there were approximately 40 BRN investigative cases over a year old and 66 DFI cases over a year old. The fiscal year statistics, and just for reference, I put in here, there were 5 additional special investigators added after July 1st of 2014, which is why you'll see a great difference in numbers and improvement from those fiscal years. So the last 2 fiscal years, 14, 15, 15, 16, we've really increased, and you can see that difference. We've jumped significantly from 13, 14 having 368 cases opened to 709 in 14, 15, and 723 in 15, 16. And also you can see our closures have been growing as well. Our cost per case, we have been able to, it went up a little bit in 14, 15, but we're back down to about $2,400 per case. As for the current fiscal year statistics, for the month of July, we had 330 cases assigned. In August, 381. Pending cases were 176 in July and 134 in August. And our average day to complete for BRN were 238 in July, 248 in August. And our average cost per case for the months were $2,850 for July and $2,788 for August. Case closures dropped a little bit in July, down to 44, but in August we picked that right back up to almost a record of 72 cases closed for the month of August. And I believe we're going to have another good month this year as well. Division of Investigations, total cases assigned, 259 in July, 262 in August. And days to complete, 390 in July, 336 in August. Average cost per case, $8,420 and $5,444 in August. Case closures were 30 in July and 29 in August. Any questions?
Is it possible to get a breakdown as to what kinds of cases? I don't understand and you probably have seen my comments on all these cases, of the quantity of the charges of DFI versus our cases. I mean, I know that they charge differently per hour, but somehow it feels like, I just would like to see a better breakdown as to.
So you're asking for a breakdown in why the
what
cost
kind of
per
cases,
hour.
what kind of cases are being handled by which area?
Okay, and that would be the CPI guidelines. Those are what dictate what cases go to.
To where?
To which investigative body, so whether it goes to BRN or DFI.
I would like to piggyback.
Yeah. We are
Also,
doing this together,
it would be interesting to look at when the DOI charges per case, what is the breakdown of that? Let's say they say 10 hours of interview versus 20, and is that the cost the same? The cost just varies sometimes to like a really large amount and to a little amount. Did they give us a breakdown?
We get a cost declaration when a case is completed
So
with
you
each
review every
case.
one of those?
We do look at those, and we do question ones that seem to be a bit high, and we do that, bring that to their attention and discuss those cases.
Are there adjustments made after we question, or it's just, it is what it is?
Normally, in my experience, they have not been adjusted.
Are they consistent across the board with their charges, or it's case by case? You know
I
what
mean,
I'm trying to
they're
say?
all case by case. Every investigator's different. Every investigator investigates slightly differently. But no, it's not necessarily consistent across the board.
So the issue sometimes I notice is that when there's less investigations, so to say, quote-unquote investigations, that it's court records. There's a higher charges than when it seems that there would be a engaged investigation. And I'm not here to micromanage what's being charged. I just don't understand why on certain things there's an $8,000 charge, and some things there's a $2,000 or $700 charge.
Or a $15,000.
You know,
Normally with court cases, if there's a conviction, we don't need an investigation.
Exactly my point.
We normally move forward on the case itself. However, on some cases, we are doing the investigation, and at the end of the investigation, it gets referred to the DA. And sometimes the criminal happens prior to our administrative action.
Oh, okay, that's why.
Makes sense.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That makes sense.
Any other questions?
Okay, that ends my report.
Do you have any public comment on this item?
Yes, I would like to know
Can you just wait for the mic?
Geneviève Clavrol, I would like to know if the number of men in nursing, is this more complaint on men in relationship to the number of men we have in nursing? Because I've done some research in the past year, and it was a overwhelming amount of men for the number of men in nursing, and I just wonder if you are looking at those figures.
So the question is gender-specific.
Yes.
Should we be looking at gender-specific items?
I don't think so. Not unless you're looking at racial issues.
That's it. Should we be looking at issues for creating sexist
We should be discussing.
division?
I think men are probably are older when they go to the nursing. That's the figure I'm looking at, not so much why is there is more. When is such a small amount?
Public comments, and we don't need to worry about this.
Alrighty.
You know, when I come to meeting here and you do, looking at the license, it's always a large number of men versus women. That's what I'm just curious.
Thank you.
Good Any other public comments? Okay, moving on along. Thank
Okay.
you, Beth.
Good afternoon. I'm Beth Scott, the Chief of Discipline, Probation.
There's a couple. Sorry, I didn't see you. Yes, please.
There's a table here.
Okay, thank you. It's all right, Don. Thank you. Okay, hello, Board. My name is Jonathan Burke. I'm Board and Bureau Relations Manager at the Department of Consumer Affairs. I've just been asked to come and just give a bit more background regarding the case assignment guidelines as governed by CPEI. DOI is a more handle more complex cases regarding death, sexual misconduct, diversion. These require investigation by sworn peace officers, and this takes more time and resources, which is often why you see such cost variances between how the board handles and how DOI handles.
Are you the new Mr. Gomez?
No, I'm not.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out the.
Oh no, I'm Board and Bureau Relations Manager. I work under Christine Lally.
Okay, that's why I was trying to figure out where you were in the organization. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. I was going to ask if he was the new Christine, but that was obviously wasn't the new Christine.
Good afternoon. I'm Beth Scott, Chief of Discipline, Probation, and the Intervention Program. I'm going to speak to you today regarding discipline and probation. Currently, in probation, we have hired our one vacant probation monitor, and he will begin on October 1st. So we'll be fully staffed with our probation monitors. We have an OT position in our discipline section. We have now received the okay from HR to review the applications and schedule interviews. That will be done within the next week. We have finished the interviews to fill our vacant discipline analyst position. We are checking references at this point, and we'll fill that as soon as possible. For the staffing, I would like to thank the enforcement staff for stepping up to the plate and assisting licensing, and it was a good opportunity to receive some cross-training, and the staff on the enforcement side were very happy to get the opportunity to get that experience. Along with what we've been talking about with the cloud, with licensing, we are looking into where we can utilize the cloud in enforcement also. So we'll be looking to enhance our probation program with the use of the cloud, and also discipline with hopefully being able to do some of the AG referrals through the cloud. We are collaborating with the AG's office, and they're excited to embark on that possibility with us. The average cycle time for our final discipline has been reduced by 2.8 months since the same time last year. We're currently at the 2-year mark for our discipline cases, down from the 3-year mark in the not so distant past. We will still be trying to get to the guidelines of 540 days. So we hope with all of these improvements we'll be able to hit that mark. Our stats for our enforcement cases so far from the beginning of this fiscal year, we have adopted 149 decisions, served 92 pleadings, served 13 petitions to revoke probation, and 24 surrenders have been accepted by our executive officer. We continue to work with the Breeze team for the accuracy of our reports, and like all of the other units, we do love Qbert. One of our enforcement staff, who's our Breeze SME, was able to attend the enhanced Qbert training, was offered by the DCA Office of Information Services at no charge to us. So we were extremely happy to be able to be given that opportunity, and he came back and said the training was great, and he's able to give us a lot more information that we can pull from Breeze. So we're thankful to the department for that. Also, we were asked to provide the probation growth stats. So I have a chart there indicating through the last fiscal years how our probation population has increased. So you can see how it has increased quite a bit. We currently have 1,557 probationers. 1,211 are within the state of California. The rest are tolled probationers, which means they reside outside of California. The average caseload for the monitors currently is 151 probationers per monitor. We have 61 early terminations and 10 modifications of probations pending to be heard by the board. Been working on this backlog with the extra meetings that are being held.
So question?
Any questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
Are you seeing any trends different from this year to past years on probation data? Chemical dependency, mental health, quality of care issues?
No, it's about the percentage-wise, regardless of in '09 when we had 349 probationers versus the 1,200 we have now. The breakdown is relatively
Interesting.
common.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. Any other questions?
Public comment? Hearing none? Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
9.3.
Agenda item 9.3. Good afternoon, Mr. President, board members, Dr. Morris, and for the audience and viewers. My name is Don Walker. I'm the Intervention Program Manager, and I will be reporting on agenda items 9.3 and 9.3.1. Staffing. The Intervention Program currently has a vacant limited-term office technician position, and we are currently in the process of filling this position. Program update. The Intervention Program is currently in the process of preparing for the 2016 Intervention Liaison Committee meeting, ILC. The ILC meeting is held annually to maintain the continuity and integrity of the program, in addition to providing a forum to vote on pertinent policy proposals that support the enhancement of the Intervention Program. The Intervention Discipline Committee IDC Chairperson, Executive Officer, Assistant Executive Officer, the Chief of Enforcement, Intervention staff, and the IEC member chairs are invited to attend. This year's meeting will be held in Northern California on October 24, 2016.
Yes, I'm planning to attend. Thank you.
Thank you. In addition to the ILC meeting, we are also preparing for the Nurse Support Group Facilitators Conference. This conference is conducted to develop greater communication between the facilitators, board staff, and Maximus, the Intervention Program's contractor. There will be discussion regarding the facilitator's role and responsibilities as outlined in the Intervention Program contract, guidelines, and policies. This year's meeting will be held in Northern California on October 25th, 2016. On June 23rd, 2016, the Intervention Unit staff attended an all-day symposium put on by First Lab. Topics that were covered included new developments and changes in testing, the role of the medical review officer, and a demonstration of First Lab's mobile application. The system was educational and well received. On September 7, 2016, the Board of Registered Nursing's intervention program was present at the California State Capitol for the annual Recovery Happens rally. Recovery Happens is a statewide campaign for everyone to celebrate the lives of people who are recovering from alcohol and or drug addiction. Recovery Happens provides the perfect platform to inform Californians about the positive effects and recovery and treatment have on our communities. The rally brought over 5,000 people together for a day to celebrate recovery. Intervention evaluation committees. There are currently 4 physician member vacancies at this time. 1 in San Jose, IEC number 7, 1 in Burbank, IEC number 8, 1 in Ontario, IEC number 9, and 1 in San Diego, IEC number 10. There are currently 2 RN member vacancies at this time, 1 in Burbank, IEC number 8, and 1 in Oakland, IEC number 13. And there are currently 2 public member vacancies at this time, 1 in Orange County, IEC number 4, and 1 in Santa Ana, IEC number 14. Statistics. As of June 30th, 2016, there have been approximately 2,083 successful completions. Are there any questions at this time?
No?
This concludes my report on agenda items 9.3. I'll be moving to agenda item 9.3.1.
Any public comment on 9.3? Go ahead, Don, thank you.
Agenda item 9.3.1, appointments. I'd like to recommend the following individuals for appointment to the intervention evaluation committees. If approved, their terms will expire June 30th, 2020.
You want to do this in all of it at the same time?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and list the names now. Dr. Alan Abrams, physician member, San Diego, IEC number 10. Dr. Miran Ask, physician member, Ontario, IEC number 9. Nicole Gilbert, public member, Santa Ana, IEC number 14. And Brooke Kilpatrick, RN member, Oakland, California, IEC number 13. At this time, I'd like to request a motion that the noted individuals be approved for appointment.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Public comment?
Trandy Phillips, yes.
Elizabeth Woods, yes.
Imelda Seja Bedwitz, yes.
Ray Malal, yes.
Michael Jackson, yes.
Cindy Klein, yes.
Barbara Yaroslavsky, yes.
Pilar de la Cruz Reyes, yes.
So it's moved on.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Resignations. For informational purposes only, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Felicity Blah, Vamsi Garlpati, and Dr. Robert Watrous for their service and commitment to the intervention program. Are there any questions at this time?
None? Any public comment on this item 9.3.1? Hearing none, that concludes the report from the intervention.
Thank you.
Thank you very
I
much.
really want to thank the staff for all the hard work you do. Over the last several months, I've had a chance to spend time with you weekly. I know that some of our weekly meetings become cumbersome, but I really appreciate your diligence, your passion for what you do, and all of the collaborative efforts you and the staff have put forth. So thank you.
I have to thank that.
Yes, you do have the best staff. And so is the licensing.
Thank you. Item 10.0, report on the Nursing Practice Committee.
Hello, this is Trandy Phillips, Chair of the Nursing Practice Committee, and we have a couple of items that we'll be discussing. It will be Jeanette Wackerly will be presenting our items. 10.1, Jeanette, if you'd like to tell us about the rulemaking process for
Thank
our
you, sir.
regulatory language.
Thank you so much. This is Jeanette Wackerly, Supervising Nursing Education Consultant from the Sacramento office. Just wanted to bring you up to date on the rulemaking file for the nurse practitioner regulations. We're through all the steps, and we're going for Monday, September 19th as the hearing. And we've not really received anything yet, but I think we will. So you will come back to you at the next meeting of the practice committee and let you know what we find out. Okay.
Thank you very much. Is there any public comment? Any board comment? And I want to thank the NECs and the board and all the people from the nursing programs and the different organizations and other people. This has been a long, drawn-out process. We're coming to the end of it, and just thank everybody for all their input and hard work. This has been a long time coming, a lot of work. Thank you.
Jeanette and her team.
Absolutely.
Thank you. They thank you. Next
Okay,
item.
10.2, please.
I want to introduce the lady to my left, the famous lady. This is our person that does all our research. This is Judy Campbell-Warnick. And she is going to talk a little bit about the next stage of a survey that we're going to do, and we want to kind of let you know how much people have become involved when they heard this was going to go on. So I'm going to let Julie talk about it most of the time.
We are working with UCSF on a nurse practitioner, certified nurse midwife survey. It was done in 2010, so this is the second in that survey. And we are working on some changes to the survey, trying to keep in mind that we do want to try to keep it so we can get some trend data, so try to keep some of the questions. But obviously, there's been some changes in the field, so there will be some changes to the questions. We are currently in the survey development and getting input from our nurse practitioner and nurse midwife stakeholders. I'll be at the nurse midwife committee meeting tomorrow. And we have a group of nurse practitioners and nurse midwives coming in next week to give us their input on the survey questions and the information that they want to make sure that we collect. We do have the meeting set up in Sacramento, but we will have some people joining us by phone as well. And when we put out the word that we were trying to find some stakeholders to come and give us input, they put out the word. And so we've had some additional people contact us, and we have, of course, welcomed them to attend either by email for those people who can't attend, either by phone or coming in. We're also sending it out by email, and they can provide their feedback that way or participate in the meetings that we're having.
Yeah, it's a Webex meeting, correct?
Yes.
So people will be able to participate that
Yes.
weren't able to actually be at the location.
Right.
Yeah, excellent.
And a
Any
representative from
board
UCSF
comment or
will be there
questions?
as well.
Any public comment or questions? Thank you very much. We're looking forward to that. And did you have anything else, Jeanette, that you wanted to mention?
I will just mention that the Nurse Midwifery Committee is meeting tomorrow, and those are volunteers that come to meet with us, and Trandy Phillips and Elizabeth Woods will be there also. So we're looking forward to it. Yes, this is the second meeting of that group.
Yes. Thank you very much, and we're looking forward to that opportunity to speak with them tomorrow. So, are there any other board comments about practice? Public comments? Mr. President, I close this section of the meeting.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for attending the board meeting for September 15th, 2016. This now adjourns our meeting. Thank you for everybody for coming and participating.